Well, well, well. You know what time it is. Open court discussion time, live in the counselor's corner, with your host David Lorenzo Glover, aka the controversial counselor, and Herb Lewis, aka the Big Bad Wolf. Streaming live on Facebook and YouTube from the StreamYard platform. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I made it convenient. You just got to put in the controversial counselor and I'll pop up. And please like and share my video. I can't emphasize enough how important that is for people to grow. It's just hitting the share button. When y'all hitting all that ratchet shit, and I'm coming in already talking crap. When y'all sharing all that stuff, what's the problem with sharing a video? It doesn't harm anybody. If it comes to your page, so what? You don't got to look at it, but just share. Come on, people. And I'll give my shout outs to the people who came on in a minute. That's after I read the introduction. So please like and share my video. Last week, we continued with the February month-long self-love theme. Your obituary, are you living your life with purpose? On tonight, February 22nd, we will conclude with the final episode of Self-Love. What improvements have you made? So we've been going at it all month of February, traditionally February, Valentine's Day, whoever Valentine is, but it's a month of love. You cannot have any type of love without loving yourself. You can have love, but if you don't love yourself, you know how that's going to pan out. We all know how that's going to pan out. So we have been through 3 weeks of putting our best foot forward, learning to love ourselves. It's time to see what we have learned about ourselves and if we have become any better at doing. And I know some of you say, well, who can improve in a month long? It takes a little more trial period. Actually, they say it takes 21 days to break a habit. So we've been going at this for almost a month. So all you had to do is stay the course, decide one day that you were going to change up something, continue to do it, and you do it for 21 days, then it becomes routine. I know for myself, typically once I start something, and if I get into a good stretch of doing it, it becomes routine. It's when I break it, then it's like a downward spiral. So I know that it can be done. So we're here tonight. We're going to talk about loving yourself. But remember this, loving yourself leads to loving others. And I think that's the key point of it all. All right. Ebony Swanson, thanks for joining me tonight live in the Counselor's Corner. Latoya, Brolic T, thanks for joining. Rebecca, welcome back. Thanks for joining. The link is posted in the chat. I didn't have opportunity to hit all my usual panel members up this evening because remember, I'm back to work again and I'm still in a fog with that. I'm still in a fog just trying to figure out how this is going to work. But I'm not going I'm sure it'll come up somewhere down the road during tonight's conversation.
The link has been posted.
The link was posted. So Herb was good, man. Hold on. Before housekeeping stuff. Before we go on, this is the one luxury I had, which I never had over the years because I was always at work, was to watch. And I watched some of the evening ones, but I got to watch the daytime sports debate shows. And the one thing I studied from watching them is when they have a panel of people and you have some dominant personalities, there's always a structure where no one really strongs arm conversations. So I kind of want to bring that element to here. We can't have these long, commencement day speeches. We have to keep it moving 2-3 minutes, especially because people want to hear from everybody. So, I've got stuff inboxing with from people saying, man, such and such was just on there, but they didn't really say anything. I would have loved to hear from this person who was on the top right or the bottom left or whatever the case is. So I think to make it smoother, if we can summarize our thoughts in 2, 3 minutes and keep it flowing, that everybody has opportunity to touch on that talking point, because that's how they kind of do it. And imagine, one of my favorite shows was First Take with Stephen A. Smith. And if you know him, he had a big damn mouth, loud, and all that stuff. But he has to even follow through on the script to kind of keep his responses to a minimum, and they pass it on and give somebody else an opportunity. So that was my thought process on that. And also, when you come on, if you're not talking or you got something going on in your background, please mute your mic. I mean, there's no need for you to be going out to pick up your Monday night dinner order, or you stranded on the 190. And meanwhile, you got all this background noise, cars going by. Because keep in mind, this isn't just us. This is globally all over. That anybody could click on this and say, oh, that's an interesting topic. And they could be into it and say, well, I kind of turned off of it, because the one thing we know about online, internet, or even regular television, lighting and sound is pivotal. So people will click off of that if the lighting isn't right, and if the sound, too much background noise. Like I said, you're picking up your order from Wendy's, you're fixing a flat tire, but you still on the broadcast with all this background noise. So please be conscious of that and try to mute your mics. All right, Herb, was good. It's your table right now. I got my stuff off right now.
Yeah, to follow what Dave is saying, when you come on the panel, if you actually take about 30 seconds, if you're unfamiliar with how StreamYard functions, just take a look at the very bottom. You'll see, going from left to right, you'll see mic, cam. You'll see what looks like a little nut, and it has mic/cam, and then it has chat, and then it'll have a red X with leave. Those are all functions that are available to people that come on the panel. And like David said prior, if you're doing something, whether you want to get up to go to the bathroom, or you have a kid crying that you don't want to be disruptive, or you something like, when I get up to pop popcorn, sometimes an hour and a half into a longer show, I'll hit the mic button, and you'll see it turn red, and you'll see a slash through it. And up at the top, it'll says mic muted. That means that nothing you're doing in the background can be heard by anybody else. And it's a beautiful function, because you can still hear, but nothing you're doing is transmitted to the panel and to everybody else, like David said, who could be listening, who might drop in. And the same thing with the cam. If you ever want to go off cam, hit the cam button, and you'll see your avatar appear. So if you're looking a little less than glamorous, or you don't want people to see you in your attire, just hit the cam button, and it'll reappear, and you can hit the cam button, and then you reappear. So if you have to go to the bathroom and you still want to be on the show, utilize those tools. They're beautiful tools. They're there for a purpose, So, just so everybody that may be unfamiliar, who wants to join the panel, who doesn't know, that's your crash course. You see my boy climbing all over the place. So, just so a bit more housekeeping.
Now I have Rebecca in here and Brolic T, so I'm gonna bring them in, but we're gonna get this self-improvement, self-love show under wraps. Rebecca, what's good? How you been? Welcome back.
Hey, Sweet Pea.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right.
We thought the Iceman got you.
Nah, not me. I had my generator running, and
so you wanted that. I don't. Well, the funny thing about it is, I don't know how many people in Texas actually prepare for these type of things. I know up here it's kind of more commonplace. So we're a little bit more weather ready for those type of events. I mean, I don't have a generator, but I don't necessarily need one, because
they have generators, but people think of it more for when their AC goes out. Not so much about trying to keep warm, but trying to keep cool. And we didn't get but that much snow. It wasn't a lot of snow, but they get ice here, and the power grid just couldn't handle it. And they said they were gonna do 15-minute shut your power off for 15 minutes and just circulate it through the. But we went without power for 18 hours straight.
And that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah. By the time we got the heat back on, it was like 49 degrees in the house, and we emptied out the refrigerator, put all the food out on the back porch. We had
Correct.
the grill,
Yep.
when we had the generator running, and thank God we camp a lot because I had like 13 lanterns and some battery operated light bulbs. So we just kind of moved upstairs and had some space heaters. And once I got the generator running, we stayed warm up there. But shit, when the power came on, all four of us tried to jump in the shower at the same time. Literally, it was just motherfuckers was just rolling around here nasty, just nasty, dirty, and they done found people dead in their homes. And all the grocery stores, of course, all the meat went bad because no electricity, so people couldn't find anything else to eat except for what they had. All the gas stations were closed because nobody could operate a cash register or anything like that. So you literally couldn't do shit but sit in your cold ass house. And they'd be on the news, but of course you didn't have power, so you couldn't hear anything that was going on. There was no way to update people to let them know what was going on. So you were literally in the dark, in the cold, without food. And then the water, people's pipes started busting, which contaminated all the water. So now you can't drink. You couldn't flush your toilet. You couldn't do anything. People literally sat in their house and died.
Wow.
So, it was, we couldn't go see no patients. None of the diabetics could be seen. All the nursing homes, all the hospitals lost power. Their backup generators didn't work. So people ended up like at the Goodwill and in gyms and shit like that, trying to keep all these old people safe and alive. And, y'all only heard like the scope of things, but shit went totally south. It just went south. I think I was the only person down here that I knew that actually had rock salt. Not that it did any good because I couldn't go no damn where. There was nowhere to go.
And see, that was and what she's talking about, it was something that we hit on last week, and David kind of brought us back to the normal conversation that we generally have.
And I'm gonna bring y'all back again.
But this bears, and I don't want to sidetrack, what the topic for tonight is about, because this is going to be. I'm here all night for the smoke, so I don't have to go to work, so I'm available. And I know David has to go to work, so anytime you want to jump off, David, just let the platform rock, and I'll close out from my end, and everybody else can do whatever it is they want to do. But the reason why we stress disaster preparedness is because you never know when these type of situations will hit. And they, and like I was reading in an article, they call this a once in a lifetime event. They said the last time Texas suffered something like this was the 1960s. There are people who are.
Yesterday, it was 72 degrees here.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Literally, people were outside in shorts and flip flops, and 4 days prior to that, it was 8 degrees. You couldn't be ready. I got solar panels, and them shits completely failed.
Well, no. What I mean by when I say be ready, I'm talking about you had a generator.
Yeah,
you had some other things that kept you afloat.
Yeah, barely.
Even barely, it still got you through.
Yeah.
Which is
it did, because the city sold out all of the propane. You couldn't find propane, and my generator runs off of propane. I could have ran it off of gas, but even with that, I guess if I had electricity the whole time, we'd have definitely been fine, because anybody in Western New York probably would have giggled at the shit that was going on here.
And understandably so, because this is something we face every year on a smaller level, but we. Just like now, we're getting snow now. I haven't been outside to shovel because I know it's going to be consistently nonstop snowing. And this is what I was talking about with the kerosene heater. And
the first night The first night it hit 100,
Yo.
hit 141 car pileup out on the freeway. So that's how bad it got here. They and it happened in the dark, so they couldn't dig them people out until first sunlight. So,
All right, we'll circle back to that. Let's.
I'm here. I'm unthawed. I'm here.
Let's
Good to
get
have
back.
you back, boo.
Thank you. I was watching y'all last week. I was just hurt that I could not get logged on
Welcome back.
to join the group, but I was glad to see y'all ran his ass off. I was just so proud of y'all. I was over here just cheering. So
They didn't run me
You
off.
can cash at me my $50 at any time.
You were incorrect. And
No, it was not incorrect. You said a mother should raise her child to a certain point and then turn the child over to his father.
I watched it 4 times.
And that's what I said. It was not a standalone statement, which is what you were trying to insinuate.
Yeah, you
The
said
one
that.
is you're always saying that, and I tell you all the time, stop saying that, because that rule can't be applied to everybody. Everybody has different circumstances, and it's never a woman's intention to raise a child without the father. So I want my $50.
The problem that we get into when y'all talk about men not willing to be fathers, they can't be fathers if you don't give the child to him.
That's
Y'all
not a true statement. That is not true.
Oh, I'm speaking.
So
We heard
ain't
you.
true.
This is not a true statement.
Yeah,
That's not a true statement.
that is so not true.
See, now y'all want to who has children. But y'all told me I don't have children, so I don't have anything to say. So what is
you
it?
can't
tell
you
you
have
didn't have
lots
anything
to
to say.
say. Just don't make a false statement, because that is not true.
It's not false if she's agreeing with it.
It's still not a true
We're not
statement.
telling you that you can't make a statement.
Let us use your words.
Who's
That's
agreeing with him?
disingenuous. That's disingenuous to say that.
It is.
Oh, what I'm saying is this. How can anyone say that they're not getting help if they don't allow help to come?
We
As
allow
I
help
said
to come,
last
but
week,
you
what
keep
happens
saying
when
we
the father
gotta
has some kind of addiction? What happens when the
You
father
don't
is
have to
deceased?
give him
Stop
away.
saying that.
All right, let me ask this question then. And how many situations where a woman has a child out of wedlock is the father deceased? Numbers, please.
I'll look it up and
Are
let
you
you know.
serious right now?
Oh,
Yeah, he really is trying to be like that. Because this is Herb's issue. Herb cannot stand to not be right.
who's
And
making
that's
the
his
wrong
problem.
statement?
And that's
You.
why he got so pissed off with me last week, because I wouldn't go along with any of the shit that he wanted to be right about.
Who's
He
making
got
it
angry because I wouldn't play along. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to. I've never been that kind of person.
But who's making a right or wrong statement?
You
You
did.
made a
You
wrong
are.
One
statement.
who's saying something that you shouldn't be.
The statement is applicable to those whom it applies. So when people say
it doesn't apply to anyone, though. You don't have to give your child away to a mother or a father in order for them to be an effective parent. There are plenty of people out here who co-parent from thousands of miles away.
So let me ask this question. What's the percentage that do?
It doesn't matter what the percentage, even if it's 5%. It's
Herb,
better that it
wait
can
a
be
minute,
done and
hold
can
it,
be
hold
done
it, hold
effectively.
it. I'm
I'm
sorry.
saying it doesn't
Hold
matter.
it. Herb, before you're asking us about percentages, do you know the percentages? Because it seems
That was
like
my
you
question.
go, hold it,
I
hold
don't.
it, because it seems as though you go to, well, let me ask what the percentages are when you don't have another answer to come up with what has been said. We're telling you that when you say, we're saying to you, straight, and I'm looking you straight in your face. I'm hoping I'm looking in your face, because I ain't looking away, no nothing. I'm telling you that when you make the blatant statement, which you did, because I heard it several times, about a person just giving their child to a father. And when Latoya came in and said that that's not something that can be done in every situation, to me, it should have just ended there. Because if you agree with her that it can't happen in every situation, then basically you're saying the same thing. You're saying
No.
to give the
What?
to give the child to the father because why? What was your reasoning for give the child to the father? Because you made
And
a
this,
blanket statement.
and this is how I know that people do not listen and understand what I am saying. We were talking about the decisions that Gary had made and why, and I was laying it out when she came on. And in the middle of what I was saying, I was disrupted. I said that men, particularly men and women, but we were discussing men. I said they make an input based on the information that they have. And sometimes they only have half of the information. So you have guys who are making decisions based on the female input that they receive. I said, so if you want a balanced person, you need to give that boy to the father when he starts to hit puberty. That way he's getting information from a masculine input so he can make those decisions better. That's the argument.
So,
All right. Let me jump in. Let me jump
The
in.
problem that
Let
I
me
I'm
have
jump
jumping
in.
in
with-
and
the
saving
problem
him.
that I have with that
First of all, I'm
statement
not jumping in
is
and
that
saving him. I'm giving my
you don't
feedback.
have
I'm a
to be-
grown
you don't
ass
have to
man,
be
and
a
I
man
don't
to
gotta
raise
save
a
him.
boy. You don't have to be a woman to raise a girl. You have to be a good parent. You have to be a good person. A good person can raise a good person. And if it happens to be male and he goes out into the world and he's a good person, by default, he's a good man. But there is nothing outside of the biological things that our bodies do. There is nothing that a man can teach a boy that a woman cannot teach a boy, and vice versa for girls. Not one damn thing.
Okay, so
I
now
don't know
Well,
about
but
that
that's
one.
true.
Go ahead and
You have to
continue.
teach a boy
No, I
how
ain't
to
go
drive
check for
a
that
car,
one.
how to shovel,
For-
how to stand up straight. All the things that you can teach a boy how to do, a female can do it too.
Okay.
That's the problem that y'all have
Hold
when
on,
y'all
David. I'll address
talking
that.
about men's emotions and why they can't display their emotions, because they learn that shit from y'all. And so when you get with your homeboys, you can't cry in front of your homeboys because y'all clown their ass. And y'all should get some new friends, because it shouldn't have to be that way. It shouldn't be about whether or not you're a
Hold on,
good
David.
man or a
Hold on,
good
David. Let
woman.
me
It
address
should be about whether or not
I
you're a
want to
good
know.
person.
I want to know what specifically you think is gained from a adolescent boy going with their father. What do you specifically think is gained that
I'd
he
like to
does
know
not
that
get
too.
with his mother?
Now, I want the women specifically to listen carefully.
I am.
I want you to take a towel, run it under water, and wring it out, and then give it to a man and let him wring it out.
So your physical strength is
Hold on. You can't teach a boy how to handle power that's lethal because you don't have it.
yeah. Oh,
You can't
boy,
teach.
shut the fuck up. Shut all the way up. Shut all the way up with that shit, because
Wait
that
a
is
minute,
so
you wanted
untrue.
to smoke Gary.
That is so untrue.
It'll
That
be
is
more
so
effective.
that's
It'll
untrue,
be
and
more
it's
effective if
insulting
y'all let
for you to
people
even
get their
say
point
some
off.
shit like that to
He
anybody.
doesn't let
Because if I have a screwdriver and I'm screwing in a nut and I can't get it tight, I can tell my son, keep turning.
But
And
why
he
can
can
you
keep
tell him
turning.
that and
So
he
you
can be
can't tell me
successful and
that
you
I
can't?
can't give out written instructions for somebody to learn something. And you
Let me
can't
ask you a
tell me
question,
that I can't stand there and say keep turning and he do that.
Becky, can you put your hands around a grown man's neck and choke him to death?
Yeah.
Sure
Come
can.
on your ass on to Texas so that I can give an online demonstration. Yes, I can.
Okay,
Sure can.
I gotta see.
Come on to
But
Texas, baby. Let me kill you. And guess what? Because I'm a nurse, I can bring your ass back to life.
Let me take your example of the towel that you use. Everybody knows that certain things boil down to technique and not power. So to say wring out a towel and then hand it to your son or your husband or whoever and let him, it boils down to technique. So there is no difference in how much water that will wring out.
It's just insulting for you to say stuff like that. And I don't think you realize that you're insulting
Could
people
y'all
when you
please
say
let
things
people
like that.
finish their thought?
Scorpion says he still will be able to bring water out, which means he is stronger.
So,
if you don't, I'm done. Go ahead. Go ahead, David.
Yeah. So
But again, there even with her,
That's
there's
not
no
true.
there's no absolutes in this because there could be some girls that's stronger than boys at a certain point in time. Growing up, there was some girls that kicked boys' asses. So we're not dealing with that. We're dealing case by case situations with
So
this.
can we talk from a woman who has actually allowed her son to go stay with his dad when he was an adolescent? I mean, shit. Okay, so now when my son was 12, I have a girl and a boy. My kids are 2 years apart. We broke up when they were 3 and 1. We lived in different states. I live here in Virginia because I was in the military. He lived in Cleveland. So, out of spite is when he made the offer about the children. We would trade the children off every 2 years. So, for 2 years, they lived with me. For 2 years, they lived with him. We did the child support, all of that stuff. We came and visited in between all of that. Well, he decided that he wanted the children to make a decision about where they should live. I did not agree with that because number one, they'd never been apart. Number two, why are we asking the children to make a decision about anything when we have this under control? Bottom line is, he didn't want to do that anymore. So my daughter, upon hearing that, was like, I'm staying with mom. Cool. My son said the same thing. Cool. If we got a choice, I'm staying with mom. What he said was, David, you can't stay because you're not 12 yet. In his mind, he was going to give them the choice when they turned 12. So I was now faced with a decision of should I allow my son to go and stay with his dad without my daughter? It was an agonizing decision. I made the decision for my son to go live with his father. And it is because for me, though I know that I can teach my son how I would want a man to act, I trusted his father to teach him the ways of men. I had a father at the time who wanted to be a father, and I was not going to deny this person who wanted to be a father when all of my friends around me and everybody else was dealing with baby daddies that they couldn't even find. And here I had one who wanted to. We sat down, we planned our children. The breakup wasn't planned, but the children definitely were. So everything else we were winging. I made that agonizing decision to let my son go and live with his dad. My son, I still have guilt from it. My son believes that it was the best thing that happened. And there were trials with it. There were times when I wanted to snatch him back. There was times when I'm sure he wanted to come back because things with dad weren't necessarily like things with mom. But here's where I was at with it. I trusted this person to have children with. We had all those hard conversations, all the conversations that I'm trying to knock everybody in the head about you should be having before you decide to have babies with somebody. We had those conversations. And even in light of those conversations, there was still some shenanigans that tried to come through that we had to check on both sides. But at the end of the day, I did allow my son to go stay with his father. Had his father not displayed that he was the type of person that would have been beneficial to, it would have been a no all day. There wouldn't have been any agonizing. So I think, Herb, that when the ladies hear you say, you know, hey, give the child to the father, I think what comes up is that not every father is father material. I don't care how many years have gone by. I was able to make that decision because I knew exactly who I'd been dealing with. And so sometimes women know exactly who they're dealing with, which is why they cannot allow their child to go and be with that dad. That dad or that person has not evolved in the way that they needed to, and they're not going to end up being a good influence on that child. It's going to be worse. So when it sounds like it's a blanket, hey, all adolescent boys need to go stay with their father. First of all, not all adolescent boys' fathers want them to come stay with them. Some fathers are very content to be weekend fathers. Some fathers are very content to be no father. So if it can happen, that they can let their child go and stay, even though it was an agonizing decision for me, I feel like it was a better decision for him. And it wasn't just about my feelings in the moment. I had to think about what the impact was going to be on my son long term. So that's where I'm at with that.
Nobody is saying that a father does not have good something for the child. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody is negating the role of a father. Men, fathers bring something to the table, and they don't always bring what women bring. So nobody is invalidating what a father has to bring. It's just that there is not the consensus is that the answer is not to always give the child to the father. So, I want to make sure that that's understood, because they see all the women on here spaz out when you say that. But the fact of the matter is, nobody is negating what the father brings to the table. It's just not an answer all the time, or the solution is to send him to his father when he's a certain age.
And first of all, for that, that's a transition. It just don't. You just don't be with your mother and then all of a sudden pack up your bags and go with your father. That's like a trial thing. You start off a couple days, the weekends, a couple days, more days during the week to try to get acclimated. So hopefully they'll be on the same page. Because I could tell you what, if my mother and my father had to come with that decision, I wasn't going over my father's house none of the damn time. None of the time.
It was hard, David.
Yeah.
It was hard with my son. It was hard. Oh my God. It was, because like I said, we already been doing, like you said, the acclimation or stuff. We already been doing weekends every 2 years. I didn't always, stay here and he was there. There was a time we was in the same state. That living with them thing, the shift in the rules, the just like you said, the differences that are gonna be in that house. I can't run his house. So if my son is going through something that he don't like over there, I can't come to the rescue and bust his door down because but that's even when we was doing the, going over there for the weekend. I didn't try to run his house on the weekend. You better not have no another bitch around my kids. Listen, I was too busy happy for my vacation and not having the kids with me for the weekend to care about what he was doing. He had to do.
You just waited till they got back to the house and got in their business.
Negative. I didn't ask shit because I didn't care.
So and
I guess
here's the
let me re-clarify, because this thing tends to upset me a lot.
Why, Rebecca? Why does it get you upset?
It gets me upset a lot because I think people get stuck in gender roles, and I really think that is outdated and played out. I'm a firm believer in good people being with good people. You have gay couples where you have 2 men, 2 women in a household, and they're raising kids, and there's either no man or no female directly in the household. You can raise anybody to be a good person, and we've asked this question dozens of times, and now I'm asking earnestly for my own self-education. I can't think of one thing that a man can teach or a male can teach another male to do that a female can't teach a male to do within her skill set. I mean, I don't know how to operate certain machinery or things like that, but there are women out there that do. So I don't understand when people say only a man can raise, a boy to be another man. He's already genetically a boy. He's going to become a man anyway. Should you be trying to raise a good person? And why can't anybody raise a good person?
So let's flip it. Let's flip it with a girl going to stay with her father. I mean, I know it's mitigating circumstances that sometimes it happen, but she comes and then she gets her first period around dad. He has no.
He can Google it. Y'all Google everything.
Man, that's just.
A man who's had sisters will know what to do.
If people can finish a thought, it would be more productive.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying I'm saying I know a father. He's a single father. He has a
You know
son
one
and a
father. You
daughter.
said you know a father. A father. One.
I'm getting ready to answer
It's
your
an
scenario.
example.
But you never even heard
You
my
were
whole
talking.
scenario.
You were talking about. You were talking about when the little girl gets her cycle, and he doesn't know what to do, right? Because when you have a kid, you want to fix their problem, whatever it may be. So there's multiple ways in which that can be done. You see what I'm saying? It's the same. It's the same case scenario. If she gets her period, if she when his daughter got his period, he didn't know what to do, or he knew what to do because he know that all women use pads and tampons. But the technical things, he reached out to some people, and that's what you do. You reach out.
But here, I think what they're
If
Not
saying
only
is
that,
that
but
he
if you
reached
have
out
a,
to some women,
it,
though. He didn't reach out to other men to find out what he should do with his daughter coming on to her menstruation. He reached out to women and to other people that would know.
But
For
it's
me,
not
it
like he
doesn't
couldn't
offend me.
learn. It's not
No,
like
it's
he
not
couldn't
like it's
educate
not at
himself
all
to
like he
know.
couldn't learn and educate himself, but he's gonna learn most of the time. They're gonna learn and
he's
educate
gonna learn by
themselves by
experience
watching women
after a while.
and
You
watching other
do, but you
women
could.
do it.
It's
They're
not to
gonna
say
watch other
that you
women do
couldn't
it.
do it. You might not want to do it. Most fathers
If
don't
she's
want to
freaking
do
out,
that.
if she's freaking out and she like what the hell is going on, and maybe her and her mother never had that conversation, and he's there, he's not gonna say, hold on baby, let me Google this.
no, I got something to say.
You're being ridiculous
Oh,
now.
can I say something, please?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Is StreamYard messing up or is it just me?
No, we
You're
can
not
hear
No,
you.
we
messing up,
hear
babe.
you
We can
just
hear
fine.
you.
We can hear you.
Oh,
We hear
okay.
you.
Okay. So in so I listen to Herb, and he always talking about make good decisions, prior planning. So why can't the father prior plan when he's got 12 years to prepare for that moment, or 11 years, or 9 years to prepare for that moment? Everybody knows it's coming. You dated more than one woman, probably. You had a mom that had a period. So it's not beyond the scope of learning or Googling at that particular moment, right?
Right.
I can't
We
hear
can't hear
Dave.
you.
Dave,
We
you're
can't hear
out.
you,
He
We
Dave.
can't
didn't
hear.
say
If you
anything.
can hear us, we can't hear you, Dave. Herb, say
We can't
something
hear you.
right quick.
Whenever you're ready to get on with the subject matter, let me know.
We're ready.
Okay, so wait a minute. I have one more thing to say. So pertaining to last week, I just wanted to give you kudos for controlling your emotions, because a lot of men, they don't
They don't
know
get to.
how to shut it off. Instead, they'll say something, you know, verbally abusive or emotionally abusive. So I just want to give you a high five for being proactive instead of, saying something really hurtful to us. So thank you.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you,
Got
Dave.
Yes.
you.
Yeah, I want to read
Yeah.
this comment from Tim Tamara Wynn. It said, it's not about verbally teaching. Of course, a woman can give what she thinks a man should be. However, when my son wants to know what it is to be a man, he's looking for physical action or example.
If that works for him, great. But just don't tell me that I can't raise my son to be a man. So we're good.
I mean, here's the thing. My son calls me and asks me for, all kinds of advice. Um, I I'm a person that I don't get offended if by people saying that there are certain things that I can't teach my son. Like I said, I believe that I can teach my son about to be the type of man that I would want. But I'm, as far as just, understanding exactly what men are going through, we say all the time that men can't understand what we go through. Men say all the time that they can't understand what we go through. So I'm not understanding why that wouldn't translate into children. If you don't, I'm cool with the decision that I made, as far as, and I don't look at it as I couldn't raise him. If he had never made that offer, if my kid's dad had never said what he said, I doubt that it would have ever gotten to the point where my son was going to go live with him, because I never questioned my ability to raise him into a man. I just knew that I had a man there, the man that was supposed to be there, his father, that wanted to take that active role. And I wasn't going to do anything to derail that. I wasn't going to bring my ego into it and, well, he don't got to live with you because I could teach him everything. No, I had a Black man who wanted to be in his daughter and his son's life without any provocation from me. I didn't have to do anything. That's the type of man that he was. And so that's the decision that I made. A lot of women can't make that decision, so maybe that colors their decision. I don't know, but I do personally believe that there are other things that my son got from his dad that he would not have been able to get from me.
And I'm going to read this point. I'm going to read this point. I'm going to read this point. Then we're going to move on. Somebody said, it just says Facebook use. They said doctors teach people to be doctors. Nurses teach people to be nurses. Basketball players teach others to be basketball players. A garbage man can't teach a bus driver to be a bus driver. From Google.
I was going to piggyback on what you said, Sheree. When my son was roughly about 10 or 11, his dad decided that he should come and stay with him, or he just decided that he should have the opportunity to make a choice, which I was fine with. Okay. So, my son was growing up with his brothers. And so his dad wanted him to come live with him. That's fine. No problem. Because what I told my son was, I don't care. It doesn't matter where you live. I'm still coming. You know what I'm saying? Your brothers are still going to see you, so on and so forth. So my son went with his dad for a trial period. When he realized all of the work that goes into having to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, after a car accident, everything, he was like, listen, I'm going to drop him back off and you call me. You call me if he needs to have a father things. Not to say that he just dipped out or anything, but it became a whole new ball game when they realized that, this really does take some time. In her case, it was a little different because they had been doing it for 2 years at a time. But when my son made the decision, he was like, I'm staying at home with my mom and my brothers. I love your dad, but I'm gonna stay at home. You know what I'm saying? That this is home to him. He wasn't ready to leave everything that he was familiar with, including his school and everything else. And I mean, we lived in the same city, but where his dad lived, he wouldn't be able to attend the same school. You would have had to switch schools, which would have been fine by me. It didn't make a difference. But the thought that the father is ready all the time is not true, because they don't really, especially if they haven't had them, they don't know what all it entails. Well, they don't know.
Y'all said Google it. That's what y'all said.
They said that.
No, but
okay,
she's saying
hold on. We're moving past this. We're moving because we had a whole nother topic. So I'm going to make an executive decision.
I'm responding to what you said. That guy reached out to women, but yes, he also reached out to his brother who had an older daughter than his child. So his brother was able to tell him things just like the women was, because he dealt with it with his child. So that's it. That's all.
All right, Herb, take the wheel. But I got another good comment came in. Said from Tim Tamarowin. The crazy thing is this argument is not nearly as strong, vice versa. Men admit all the time that they can't teach his daughter how to be a woman. Yes, we do. I guess the deeper question is, why are women so bothered by this? Is it because most single parent homes have women as the head of the house? That's the real question.
Could we just move on to the topic of the night?
Yeah, I don't want to brought this back up again. Go ahead, Herb.
All right. We are going to delve in week number 4 of putting your best foot forward. And I turned this from beginning to end. And did you have a chance to watch the clip that I sent you about the dating show?
With the foreign folks?
Yes.
Yeah, I tried to, man.
But language barrier is tough. It took a little while for me to figure out what the heck was being said all the time. So yeah, it's a tough, and I'm sorry for the listening audience in the panel who didn't get to see it. I will post that situation. It's an honest to goodness situation, and I'll go over that situation. And like I said, I'll post it in the council's corner group so you can see it and judge for yourself. But essentially, and I'll throw this out there for anyone that wants to respond. What had happened was it was a blind date. The two individuals that happened to be set up, one of the individuals had dated somebody from the other's family. Now, according to this person, they weren't intimate. They just went out on several occasions. So the other individual dipped off into the bathroom, called the I believe it was a family member, and ran the situation down. And they said, "Well, what should I do?" So the question becomes, if you were in a situation, what would you do? Don't answer yet, because I want to lay out some other things, and I just want people to think about that situation without responding immediately, so it has a chance to get into your head. You can dance around with it, and then you can give me some answers later. Now, the number one thing is boundaries. We all have them, but are we willing to enforce them? There was a scenario that I'm sorry, not the scenario, the questionnaire of relationship psychology that I gave in week number 2. And the person who made that, well, let me not say she made it because I don't know if she did. The person who I got it from said that when the individual answered question number 2 wrong, she immediately got up and walked out on the date. No rhyme, no reason, just got up and left. So that becomes a question. Are we willing to enforce our boundaries at number 2 at the risk of being called an asshole, a bitch, pardon my language, or any other unflattering term that somebody might levy at us? Number 3, are you willing to risk being disliked or I'm sorry, number 2. I'm sorry, that was number 3. I jumped the order. Number 2 is, what is your ideal relationship? Is it traditional or is it new age? And by traditional, I mean, when you're in a relationship, do you assume traditional roles? Man goes to work, woman keeps house, she raises children, etc., and so on and so forth. Number 4, and these are all questions I want people to consider. And if you need them read off, I'll go back and I'll reread it and we can talk about that. Number 4, if you had the ability to do anything you wanted to in life at this moment, what would it be? And more importantly, why aren't you doing it now? So given everything that we've talked about with the individual selves in the previous quizzes, those are just things I wanted to throw out there just to see if people actually would change how they do things based on understanding themselves a little bit more and now. So anybody can tackle any of those questions. Like I said, if you need any of those questions reread, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to reread them.
Yeah, what was
number
one?
one was the scenario, right? Was that what would you do in that scenario? Was that number 1?
No. I just threw the scenario out there. Number 1 is boundaries.
Okay.
How willing are you as the individual willing to enforce your boundaries that keep your peace of mind or whatever other things that you value intact so people can't destroy them? In other words, let's say, and Surreal's gonna love this one. This is why I'm going to use it. My furniture. You can't come home, start rearranging my furniture. Another thing that seemed to be a popular one was my food. You can't start picking things off of my plate without my permission or without me offering first.
Man.
Well, listen. Whoa. Listen.
We'll let him have it.
Before when you put it out, see, right now you saying without my permission. Before you was staunch, had your brim and shit, cocked to the side, don't move a goddamn furniture, don't put your goddamn fork in my plate. So here go the thing. Even if that's the boundary, quite honestly, we talking just all the time. If somebody has a boundary like that, then I'm not gonna do things, to violate that, because as far as I'm concerned, that's me trying to push the envelope. And at the same time, my boundary are very set. The things that I will and will not do are set in stone. I don't have any maybes. So once I let you know what those things are, if you violate that, that's a done deal for me. But that comes with conversation too. And the things that are a staunch no for me, if you do them, I know as far as I'm concerned, you don't give a damn about how I'm feeling because I've been very clear about the
Right.
things that I like and that I don't like. So for
Mhm.
me, there are some things that don't need a conversation. So for my boundaries, I could give a damn about how, especially at 49, I could give a damn about how you feeling because as far as I'm concerned, you don't give a damn about how I'm feeling. So here we are. One of us gonna be feeling good and one of us ain't if that's the case.
So that was more or less the reason why I was listing those things, because some people will get comfortable within themselves and the situation to where they're willing to, and what I like to call them is habitual line steppers. They don't care. They assume that what they want, they should be able to get. It doesn't matter what the other individual in the relationship has or is doing or has said.
So
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 We
let
talked about that before.
so let
We
me
talked
let
about
me
that
tackle
before when
this.
somebody fall in love and all of a sudden you're supposed to change everything that you're doing because that person because you love that person. I heard somebody
mm,
say that today. Well, if they love me, they should do everything that I need them to do to make me feel good. If you don't get the fuck out of my whole face, like the whole thing, because that's somebody that's a hoop jumper. They require hoop jumping, and there's
mm,
nothing you can ever do for a person that if how they feel is dependent on your actions and your behaviors, there's nothing you'll ever be able to do that will make them happy. It's just another hoop to jump through. As soon as you jump through that one, they got another one waiting on you. Well, this will make me feel better. Well, this will make me feel better. Well, bitch, just feel bad then, because I ain't jumping no more.
All right. I got two things to say. First, I got to go back to Herb and his furniture thing. um, and one of the things is, and I remember you originally brought it up. It was some woman who just moved. I guess she
Moved,
moved from came from
relocated.
out of town, and she relocated, and she didn't have a job, and you were working, and I guess she decided to. I mean, I guess she could have communicated that, and I guess. I guess you were you were pretty
He kicked
adamant
her
that
out.
she moved the furniture. Uh, you went off on her, but me, I looked at it as if she moved to be with you and she didn't have a job right away. I'm going to find a way as a man to kind of empower her. So if that's to give her something to do, if she wanted to add a woman's touch to the spot, go ahead, have at it. In fact, here's some money, whatever. You could go shopping and get some things, whatever. Since we plan to be together, you can give it your woman's touch. Because I know you need to. She probably could have been down on her dumps, like, damn, I ain't got a job, I ain't got nothing to do. So that would have gave her something to do. Another thought I had is when you talk about dating and you know who you are, you kind of should start thinking about strengths that the other person brings to the table that offsets your weaknesses. Because again, it's all about, and I always talk about interdependence. Um, my strengths is my strengths. Your weaknesses are your weaknesses, and we kind of pull them together and we piggyback off of each other. So I think a lot of times people start dating people and they have the same strengths, same weaknesses. What do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen? What'd you say?
eventually you'll butt heads. There'll be a disagreement that can't be resolved because you're both fighting from areas that you think you're stronger than the other in.
Yeah, and if you both have an area of two areas, have an area of the same weaknesses, so that's going to be an argument because now you're going to start pointing fingers like, shit, you couldn't do the shit. Yeah, you couldn't do it. And it's always going to be some. But you know what you could do? You can Google it. I'm done.
What was question?
You know,
What's up? What's up, ladies? Y'all didn't answer
I'm
the question.
listening to what you just said, Dave, in the scenario with the furniture, that that happened to her. I feel like, you can't prepare for something that you don't know what is going to happen, which is always one of the things that's said with the children, prevent it before it happens. In that scenario, you went to work and had no idea that when you came home, your house was going to be rearranged. It was also something that was not discussed because nobody in their right mind generally thinks you're going to come home and your furniture is going to be completely relocated in your house. I personally hate that. I don't like that. Don't move my furniture around, or at least communicate to me that you plan on it. However, the 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 point that I'm making is you cannot plan for unforeseen things that don't cross your mind in certain scenarios. Now, I know you can't tell me you did not think that when you came home, the couch that you left where it was at was no longer going to be there. And so I think to a degree, you might have had a little bit of an extreme reaction, but I do understand why you had that reaction because I'd have been a little ticked off too. Like, really? I mean, you could have said something. You don't just, I come in to drop my jacket and it hit the floor. You know what I'm saying? Type thing. So you cannot plan for unforeseen things. And that's something that you always have to have an open mind about when you're in any kind of relationship. I don't care if it's parent, child, sister, brother, mother, father, whatever. You cannot plan for that.
No, I just so we are clear, that was a scenario. It didn't really happen. I just want.
No, man, you made it seem like that happened. Whatever, that was a lie.
Her was ready to put a
I
bitch
was
on
like,
the
that
street.
happened.
Her was ready
That's
to
right.
put
I
on
thought
the
that happened
street,
for
girl.
real.
No.
I'm sorry. Say that again. Say that again. I didn't hear it.
She
See,
said
when
she
she
thought
said,
that it had happened for real. No, it was a
yeah,
scenario that was given, and they were talking about, like Dave said, your significant other has relocated to be with you.
right,
And the example
right.
that was given, and her was like, no, we kicking the bitch straight out because she done moved my couch. I'm like, damn, she done relocated to be with you. She ain't got no job. She, anybody, you just gonna kick her out. Y'all can't have a conversation. Bitch, don't touch my couch. Like, Dave was on some, if they don't call him back in 15 minutes, he was done. I was like, damn. I'm like,
Nah, you jive stretching it. You jive stretching it. You jive
That's
stretching
why
it.
when you
Whatever.
said it,
David,
I was
we
like,
had a
dang,
whole
that was true.
conversation, and I
I know
asked
who
a
we had. I
clarifying
know we
question. I
had
was
it.
like, 15 minutes, dude.
I did
You
not
was
say no
like,
time
no,
frame.
you said, oh my God, you gave it
That's
time.
why. That's why when you
He was
said,
like, it's
hey, when you said
done.
he put it on the street, I was like, that's extreme. That
He
she
was,
relocated. That's
and
extreme.
he didn't back down from it. Listen, he never backed down from it. He was like, nope, that's my furniture, and she don't touch it. And that he didn't care that she had just relocated. He didn't care that she didn't know nobody else in town. He didn't
God
like.
was serious. He was serious because he said a woman don't dig in his plate.
Oh,
He
he
said
was
he would
serious
not
as
pump the
hell.
gas.
He said it was
He
done.
would
You
not
put the
pump the
fork on my
gas.
plate. The date is over. It is done. That is it.
I
Like,
remember
no,
that one.
But see,
her don't give him no quarter.
this is
Her
what I
don't
always
give
tell.
him no quarter.
But this is what I tell people. People always talking about, well, I want to find a man that's consistent. I want to find a man that says what he means and means what he says until they actually find one. And then when they do, there's a problem. And I'm
Well, they
thinking, what?
want them to say nice things. They want them to say nice things and mean
Right.
those nice things.
You,
That's what
I'm
they.
sorry, I know what they want. I know what they want. They want the Disney World dream. They want the princess in the glass slipper. I'm sorry, I don't have the glass
You
slipper
ain't
for
got
you.
to be
Boo-boo.
no Prince
So,
Charming
so
to
let me
knock the bitch
No,
out
no,
from
no, no.
between your
They want to be the
furniture.
princess.
You ain't gotta be Prince Charming not to not
No,
sit
no,
a
no,
bitch
no,
on the other side of your door
no, no,
about
no,
your furniture or your plate.
no.
You could
They
be a
want
regular dude and not kick her out.
no. They want the princess treatment. I know I'm no prince. I'm not a prince for the vast majority of women on the face of the planet, which is why I don't come at it from that angle. I know what I attract, and I know who I am, and more importantly, I know what type of women not to deal with. So when I make
so
the statement, say it again.
I thought you were finished because there was a lag,
Okay.
but I, out of curiosity, if you treat the woman you're with just like you treat every other stranger and any other woman in the world, I'm curious to know why should she stick around or why should she pick you? I'm curious.
But I don't. That's the perception that is out there, and I never try and fight anybody's perception. I'm aware that that is too much to fight. So if somebody has a perception of me, I allow them to have that perception of me. I say the only
no, not you personally. I wasn't talking about you personally. I'm saying in general.
no, and that's what I'm speaking about. The people that I meet and have a conversation with me, I'll give you a real life example of what happened. I was working at a restaurant. We had a new hire, and the first thing he says to me was, "I heard you're an asshole. I heard you're difficult to work with." I didn't. I know. True situation. I said, you know what? I said, I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to ask you who said it. I don't care. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, work with me for 1 week. And at the end of that week, come back and give me your opinion of me. And sure enough, at the end of 1 week, the individual came back. He said, you know what? You're not difficult to work with. You just come to work and some of these other people are lazy. If you're looking for somebody to count on, if you're looking for somebody who's going to be there to help you out when you are in a bind or a certain situation, I will tell you, I'm the individual you're looking for. But if you come to me with some BS and I smell it, I'm going to tell you to go in no uncertain terms, because I don't give it, I don't want it, and I'm not going to tolerate it. And for a lot of people, they don't like that because that means they can't control what they get from you. And you have some people who only want what they can get from you, and then they're gone. Case in point, David and I have been doing this element for some years. There's be sometimes that I'll forget something and he'll message me. I'll be like, you know what? I completely forgot. Let me get on that right now. David rarely, if ever, has to worry about whether or not I'm going to be prepared for a show. He doesn't need to worry about if I'm going to do something that I tell him I'm going to do. He can take that, deposit it into the account, and keep rolling to worry about the next thing. That's the type of man I am. I'm dependable. I'm not going to run when the chips fall down. I'm going to be right there with you to pick them up. But I demand that if you do something, you be there with me to help fix what it is that you've done. You don't break it, then come get me to fix it, and then go off to destroy something else that I can't abide by and that I won't abide by.
So let me ask this next question. You and David have that dependency thing based on a long-term relationship and friendship, right? Can you really expect that from people you don't have that type of relationship with?
I don't. No, I don't. But that's just it. Like I said before, everybody is not entitled to my personal company and your personal company, and I operate like that. It's off-putting to a lot of people, and that's what I was talking about with number 3. Are you willing to risk being called something unflattering because you set your boundaries? Everybody.
I'm gonna answer this for me. If you have no value to me, I don't care what you call me. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care, because you have no value to me. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that connection, and I'm just speaking in general. I don't have that connection with you, so you can call me whatever you want. I ain't gonna respond to it because I don't care. I don't care enough about whatever you think to give you my energy, or my time, or thought.
Well, some people you have a connection with,
Right.
and
What
at
about
a certain point, you hit a crossroad. You don't care what they say. So sometimes a person who doesn't have a connection with you, you don't know the impact that they can make, or what their role is, or who they are. And that's why I guess they say the first impression is the lasting impression. So I don't know, but hey, we're gonna move along. My girly girl, you've been quiet for a minute. We're gonna get you back in here. Talk to us.
Because I thought my iPad and my phone was charging.
Talking to Rebecca.
Yeah, I'm talking to Rebecca. You know you ain't girly girl. You know who you is?
How do you know?
You DG.
How do you know I'm not
You
girly
DG.
girl?
You know what you are. DG.
What is DG?
Girl, Dick
What
Germs,
is
don't you act like you don't know. We know.
Exactly.
Don't you act like you don't know. Don't you act like you don't know, girl. You done coined that phrase. Don't you? No.
Yeah, I did coin that phrase.
I
No,
ain't
I'm
never
just
forget
saying,
that
like,
shit.
I
went
didn't.
right in on it.
We're going down in order. It was Herb, and I'm passing it over to Rebecca. Girly girl.
What?
What? We just said a lot in the last 10, 15 minutes. I'm telling you. You got any thoughts going through your head? You mad? You big mad?
No, I'm not mad.
You big mad like Gary?
I'm not mad. I just feel insulted. So
about the woman and the woman can't raise a man?
I just think it's insulting for anybody to say that another person can't do something because we're all born pretty much with the same parts except for our reproductive system. And so for anybody to say that only one sex can do something versus another sex, I think it's insulting for someone to say that. So
I don't even look at it like that. I think that
but I do. I look at it like that you're telling me as a single parent that there's no hope for my kid unless I give him to his father.
Well, no,
I find that personally.
No one ever said that.
You know good
That's
and
exactly
well
what he
that's
said,
not
that
what they
boys
mean.
need to be given to their fathers.
You know that's not what they mean. Even if that's what he thinks,
but then say what you
better.
mean.
You
then, because
know better.
they're quick to check the rest of us when we get even slightly off track. They're quick to say, be quiet, or they add another element to the story, to make it fit their scheme. So say what you mean what you say. And if you tell me that the only way a boy can become a man is to be in the presence of another man, I don't believe that. I believe it takes a good person to raise another good person. And so those are my boundaries. Those are my boundaries. And I'm like everybody else. I don't give a fuck what you call me. In order to maintain my boundaries, I will agree with him on that much. I really don't give a shit about what nobody else has to say. And I don't know if that comes from just being on my own for so long and having to do what I have to do, but I don't particularly care about those things either. But I just think sometimes y'all get too caught up on gender norms, and it creates problems with men and with women. I don't say this shit just for, and I'm not saying only men say those things, because people say those things. And it shouldn't be that way. Y'all complain, again, when he was talking about people's emotions and how men can't do this and can't do that. That's because somebody out there set that standard for y'all. And y'all keep passing it on from generation to generation to generation. And the same with women. Certain things, we got to wear pink, y'all got to wear blue, and it doesn't have to be that way. There is no hard and fast rule that say only men can drive a truck, only women can mop a floor. Anybody can do those things, anybody. And so I find it highly offensive, even though it doesn't apply to me personally, that you would say such a thing, that only a man can do that. Only a woman can do that.
No, see, that would be a total absolute, and I don't know if it was meant that way. I think it was more
meant that way. It came from him.
Oh, she's him. He is him.
It came from him, and he makes it a point to tell people that he says what he means. He makes it a point to say that.
Well,
if none of us, I was raised by just a woman, and I don't know how many of these people in this room were raised either by just a woman or just a man. And do you consider yourself less than a man because your moms weren't in your life or your dads weren't in your life? Somewhere down the line, if you were lacking that other parent, you learned. And hopefully you were surrounded by people that loved you enough, that guided you enough to help grow you up and become a good person.
Well, I can say I was raised by my mother. We had a lot of family support, my grandparents and stuff like that.
And are you any less of a man because your father wasn't present?
I'm a grown ass man. Messing around.
That's all I'm really, that's all I'm saying. I just think that y'all need to stop with these gender rules, because y'all keep carrying on the stereotypes. And it should not have to be that way, because you have blended families, single families, gay families. You have all these different types of families out here. And those stereotypes don't fit everybody. And it's unfair for y'all to say stuff like that.
All right. So we got the good doctor in here. Is he in here? And what?
Do we? I don't see him. Where is
Who is that?
That's the spot that's not showing.
Oh.
Or you may have just dropped. Or okay.
Like, do we got
Connection isn't syncing up.
Well, let me read this comment from Carlos. You know, Carlos, the one who wrote the book, My Brother, Systemic Racism. He said there's tons of studies that shows the adverse effects of absentee mothers and absentee fathers and it affects on the opposite gender. There's generally some deficiencies present when one parent is not present. So that's that.
But hold on, before when you have two amazing parents that raises a serial killer. I mean,
I'll tell you what.
I'll as good as the people that participate in the study.
Yeah, I need to know the variables of the study before I can rock with them. That's just how I am.
I just think y'all just need to cut that out.
I don't know when you keep saying y'all, whatever.
I'm not just saying you need to cut. You can't build good relationships between males and females if you always put a damn label on them about what they're good at and what they're not good at. Just because he got bigger muscles than me doesn't make him the leader.
Well, we already established that from before, Rebecca, when you said you like to do housework and all that stuff. And I said that some women do a better job than men. I could tell you, I'm not one of them dudes that can fix.
But it's not a default because you have bigger muscles. Is what I'm saying.
Hey man, what y'all do to Rebecca?
It's not default that you get to run the show just because you have bigger
No, it's
muscles.
not y'all. It's her. She is up.
Yeah,
what you do?
And you see
Hold on.
Nothing. Her baby.
Hold on. Let me get some of this action. Rebecca,
Yes.
can you teach your son how to wear a hat like Dave and Herb?
Yes. Yeah, I sure can. Absolutely. I can take a picture of him and plop it right on his head and tilt it a little to the left and tell him to get his damn swag on. Yes, sir. I absolutely can.
Yeah, yes, she can.
You can't put a hair bow in your daughter's hair.
Pretty much.
Listen, my 6-year-old had a nice dog hat. When I say nice, brother broke it to the side and did his thing, and I taught him that. He got that from his mama.
Come on, y'all really just need to stop with that. It's
Can a
just,
man teach a girl? Can a man teach a girl how to walk in heels?
Yeah,
fuck it.
Stick your big.
Buy yourself a pair of heels.
Hold
Yes.
You absolutely can. Will it look funny?
Yes.
It's gonna look real funny and real stupid.
Hold on. Did you say stick your big feet in some heels?
Yeah, and sashay.
Ain't no way in hell. Ain't no way in hell.
See?
Oh, you would do it in the privacy of your own home if it was just you and your daughter. You would do that for her.
I think the point that Rebecca,
where nail
I
polish,
think
all
the
that
point
stuff.
that
Fathers
Rebecca
do all
is
that.
making.
But yeah, have a tea party with her and everything. Stop lying.
That's different. A tea party.
It'd be nice to have a woman show her those things.
I think
but what I'm saying is, it's not like you can't do it.
Usually, when you say you can't do something, you don't want to do it.
Okay, then.
I think the point that Rebecca is making is if you relax some of those expectations, those gender things, that you can do whatever it is you want. I think that's the point. It's not so much as only a man can do it. I think what she's trying to say is, hey, if you teaching your daughter how to walk in heels, you in the house, who can see, who know. You know what I'm trying to say? You got to be willing, is what she's saying. I think.
Y'all, little girls love their daddies. And you can't tell me if she didn't jump up on your lap with all her barrettes and shit and wanted to stick them things in your hair that you wouldn't let her do it. Same with little boys. And yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. We get so stuck on what women are supposed to do, what men are supposed to do, that we keep these brick walls up in between us, and then people want to stay over here. And to me, that's a codependent that I don't want. If my boyfriend is out in the yard fixing the wheel on the lawnmower, I want to learn how to do it. Not that I necessarily want to do it, but I want to learn how to do it in the event that he's not there because I don't want to get my manicure dirty or whatever the fuck the reason may be. But it doesn't mean that I can't learn how to do it.
And
it
to
doesn't
answer
mean that I
Carla's
can't do it
question,
just as good as him. And it has nothing to do with him being a man. It just so happens he knows how to change a tire and I don't, but I can be taught.
And to answer her question,
Carlos says in
boy,
the
that shit.
comments, Carlos says in the comments, can a woman teach a boy how not to ejaculate quickly? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ask all the women sex therapists.
I'm a nurse.
Ask all the
Sure
women
can.
urologists. Most definitely.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Most women can teach a man how to do that. So yeah, we can.
That's not the point. The point is a woman can teach a man how not to ejaculate quickly. Why do you think they have women sex therapists? Why are there women urologists? So on and so forth. She most definitely can.
A sex therapist is only somebody who went to and took the classes and whatever and got the certification.
That was Lakia.
And she can still teach them.
Brolic T, hold on. I'm gonna pass it. I'm gonna pass it to Brolic T because she's been quiet and she came with a lot of smoke on Thursday. Brolic T, what's good? What's on your mind?
I still got a lot of smoke. I just learned never to argue.
I'm sorry,
with
Carlos. That was Lakia.
So,
sorry, Carlos. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brolic T.
So I still got a lot of smoke. I just know when not to argue with fools. So anyway.
So that's that.
I need to add a correction. That was not Carlos that said that. That was a lady named Lakia. Yeah. I think that's how you pronounce her name. So there's my correction.
So that's it, Brolic?
No, I mean, as far as boundaries go, I always enforce my boundaries. I'm a stickler about that. And I really don't give a damn what anybody thinks about me and enforcing my boundaries over the simple fact that I've learned and I know firsthand what it's like when I don't stick to my boundaries. So I stick to my boundaries. And it's like a religious thing for me. So that's that. As far as new age or traditional relationships, I've always wanted a traditional relationship. And that's just how I was raised. My grandfather worked. My grandma stayed home and tended the kids. And that's only one side of my family. On the other side of my family, both of my grandparents worked. So I've seen it from all dynamics. I like the traditional sense. I just always thought it was sweet and cozy, and not to say that both of my grandparents that worked, they didn't have a sweet and cozy relationship. They had a sweet and cozy relationship just like the ones that were married. I just liked the way that it not necessarily felt. It was just, I don't know, it was something more endearing about it. But with the ones that worked, it was endearing too because being that they both worked and they had weird schedules, they were extra lovey-dovey when they did see each other. So it was a cute thing. I don't really care, but then I think 3 goes back into like 1 about the whole boundary thing. People say shit about me all the time. People make assumptions about me. People on this show have assumptions about me. Don't know me from a can of paint, and I could care fucking less. You don't know me in real life. You don't know what kind of person I am, what value I bring to the table. And until you actually sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with me to see what kind of person I really am at heart, you'll never know. And you'll always have a bunch of assumptions, and you'll always be running around chasing your own tail, trying to get under my skin. And then, do I see myself where I want to be? No, not quite, but I am working on it.
Okay. Okay. All right, we're gonna go down to the good doctor.
You know what, David? I have to be honest. Like, I don't know all the questions.
Oh, I'll run them down for you. Number one was we discussed relationship boundaries and are you willing to set them? Number two was what is your ideal relationship? Is it traditional, based on gender roles, or is it a new age where everything is split down the middle, similar to what Rebecca was saying? Number three, are you willing to risk being disliked or considered an ass or a bitch for I'm sorry, for or any other non-flattering name to keep peace in your life? Peace meaning your way of living and doing things. And number four, if you had the ability to do anything you wanted to, what would it be, and why aren't you doing it now?
Wow. So the first one. Give me the first one again.
Your boundaries, and you're setting your boundaries and habitual line steppers.
Yeah. Boundaries are critical, man. Yeah, if you're gonna have, a somewhat healthy relationship, yeah, you gotta set boundaries. Both people do.
So, and number two was your ideal relationship. What would it be? Would it be based on the Leave It to Beaver type, where the husband goes out, works, or the male in the relationship goes out and works, because most of the country right now is not married? So would it be based off the man going out working and the women tending to the house, and any children, if there is, whether they're her children, his children, or their children, or they bring children in from a prior relationship and they end up having children? So what would be your ideal relationship?
Well, based upon what I know now, I think I want to get to as close to me being that provider as I can, as opposed to doing a 50-50.
Okay. And number three was, are you willing to be considered are you willing to be disliked and considered an ass or a bitch for maintaining certain standards?
Yeah.
And number four was, if you had the ability to be anything, I think was, if you had the ability to do anything, not be anything, do anything in life, what would it be? And if you aren't, why aren't you doing it now?
Well, hey, David knows I'm working on being a writer. I want to be like David.
You don't want to be like me. Be better than me. Be better than me.
And I'm working on it right now. Replacing my job. So.
Well, I think because I'm asked this question a lot, and people ask me if I'm happy, and my answer is always no. But I'm content, and a lot of people think that happiness and contentment are one and the same, and for me, it isn't.
No,
they're not.
Well, yes, and
who thinks that?
and I have to explain it to people in this manner. I say contentment is me being okay with things the way they are. That does not mean I'm progressing towards another standard. Every day I'm living, I'm always trying to move forward in some way, whether it's me dealing with some issues that are external, or whether it's me dealing with some issues that are internal. People never see that work. They only see the manifestation of that work. Also, there was something else I was going to mention, and I completely forgot. Jeez, forgot that. Thoughts are so fleeting. Jeez.
Old age setting in.
No. No. I was so focused on trying to differentiate the distinction. Okay, happiness is
furniture.
Right, he looking to make sure the couch in the right place.
Well, always. My cats have a propensity to get human strength and start moving stuff. So I come and sit down in the dark, and I end up sitting on the floor, and it kind of hurts. But happiness for me is fleeting. You got people that are happy one day and they sad the next day. Me, I'm always looking for that median, so I don't have to worry about being sad. I don't have to worry about being too happy. Just in case of point, I'll use when my mother passed. When I came on and did the show that day, nobody knew. Now, I felt some internal sadness, but outwardly I was happy because she was no longer suffering. Because when my sister sent the text out the week prior, she said she's ready to go. So I had already mentally prepared myself for when she was gone. And for me, it's a relief because it's a burden that's been lifted off of the family. We no longer have to worry about uh, power of attorney. We no longer have to worry about making funeral reservations. We no longer have to worry about any of that. Now we can actually go on and start to get back to our normal day-to-day lives. And for some of my siblings, that's dealing with their children, their wives, their situations, because all of us have different levels of situations within our own lives. But we all come to, just like we did when we had the memorial service. We all came together, and there was no problems. Everybody was smiling, laughing, drinking, and eating, no matter what we had going on outside. Nobody would have came in that house and thought we were at the funeral of a great woman. And that's how I live my life. I always want to be looked at as a person who is never too high, who is never too low. I'm always searching. I'm like water. I'm always searching for that balance. And sometimes that balance comes at the perception of other people thinking I'm difficult to deal with. That's a label that I'll happily wear, because generally those people who think I'm difficult to deal with don't want to deal with somebody who they want to conform to what it is that they want.
All right. Anita, DG, talk to us. Give me your thoughts.
Okay, so for number one, relationship boundaries, I have some boundaries, but I've learned to be a little bit flexible and open-minded, because I realized that everybody is not like me. Everybody wasn't raised like me, and I should listen to somebody else's perspective and point of view. So in that aspect, I do have boundaries, but like I said, I'm open to listen to somebody else's perspective. Number two, I am a modern traditionalist. I like the man to be the provider. I don't mind catering to a man, but I do like to be courted. I like the man to be the head of the household, because that's how I was raised. My grandma's going to be 107 on February 28th. So we have some traditional family values that I don't mind, because I think it's cute. But I like the courtship part of it. I wouldn't necessarily want to be a homemaker, because I would want to work. Unless we had kids, like what's the sense of sending your kids to daycare and basically working to pay for daycare? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I like the traditional aspect of a relationship. As far as being disliked, I don't know. I guess that would depend on who. If it's like one of my family members, I would want to understand, like, where's the disconnect. But if it's somebody that I don't care about their opinion, I'd be like, whatever. But if somebody did call me a bitch or an asshole, I'd be like, that's kind of, I would be hurt, because that I feel like that's inappropriate for them to say. And then let's see.
Oh, excuse me.
The ability to do what I want. Actually, I'm learning to be more appreciative again, since my whole debacle last year, almost dying 3 times. So I'm learning to do that again, and I would like to write a book, and I would like to be the drug and alcohol counselor, but since I had the heart attack and the COVID right now, I can't actually go back to school. Or
hold up. I thought you was COVID negative.
I am COVID negative.
But I'm saying
Oh,
since my
oh,
heart
okay.
attack and I almost
Oh, I
died
was
at the
just gonna
time,
say.
my I have a suppressed immune system. So my
Okay.
doctor will not sign off on me going back to work or school right now because I need to work on my health. But
Okay.
one thing,
I was just
go ahead.
checking, Anita. I was just checking, making sure you was
Oh
good.
yeah, I'm good. But the one thing I used to do when I lived in Texas, I went to church every Sunday, and then after church, I would look for somebody to do a good deed for, whether it was like buying, I don't know, like somebody flowers that were selling paper. Becky, you know, like the people that sell flowers on the corner, or not flowers, newspapers on Sunday. I don't know if they do that in Texas where you're at, but they did. So I look for to do good deeds, and today I actually did something that I was hoping would inspire people. So since I almost died last September from bleeding around my heart, I happen to be in the Boulevard Mall today, and they have um, a blood drive there. And people were giving blood, so I went in there to thank the people that were giving blood, because if it wasn't for people like them, I probably would have died because I needed 2 units of blood. So I was very appreciative of that. So I'm working on being more appreciative of the little things. That's it, I guess. Any more questions?
Good. Mofo.
I mean, you all know how I feel about my boundaries. And so when we're talking about boundaries, we're talking about things that, you know, things that are a hard no for me. And if it's a hard no for me, it's just a hard no for me. I don't need to be open about certain things that I like to do. I don't care if you like to do them, if you don't like to do them, but I spent some time being very accommodating to people, and what I found out is that no good deed goes unpunished.
Mm-hmm.
And while you are willing to concede your likes and dislikes and all this stuff, and under the guise of keeping an open mind, they're just ready to take. And so for me, my boundaries are my boundaries. A hard no is a hard no. As far as the type of relationship, I think that was one question. So here's the thing. When I'm in a relationship, I enjoy gender roles. Doesn't bother me at all. I just don't, my thing with that is once we get into the part where someone, and that's either me or them, is trying to tell the other what to do, how to be, that I have zero patience for that. So yes, I like courting. I do like a
Hold
man
on.
as a provider, but that doesn't mean that I'm just some damsel in distress that needs to be saved. I believe in doing my part too, whatever that part is, whatever we discuss
I
that
got a
part's gonna be.
I got a question.
I,
I have an answer.
As far as what you said, and when you said people telling you what to do, and
Mhm.
so far as like, for example, if a guy, if you were going out and you were dead set on wearing something, and he gave you a recommendation that he wanted you to wear something else, how would you take that? Because women, y'all quick to give a recommendation to tell a guy, nah, you should take that tie off, nah, that don't go together, and we usually roll with it and ask you. But if a guy tells you that, nah, baby, that's not hitting on nothing, you should do this one, how would you receive that information?
So I've never had a
I,
guy tell me that my outfit ain't hitting on nothing. That's a question that I don't
Mhm.
even ask. Okay. First of all, I got a truth mirror. So if a outfit ain't hitting on nothing on me before you even I'm my own worst critic. So I done changed that thing a million times. But if a guy has, if I've asked the guy his opinion, or if I'm wearing something and he's telling me that he doesn't like it, I'm going to be very honest with you. It's going to depend on why. It really will. For me, it's going to depend on why. Now, if he said he can't hit me with no, you looking too sexy in that, I need you to take that off, I'm be like, nigga, you better take a picture, nigga, because I will go. But if it's, are you sure that matches? I'm appreciative of a guy that pays attention. You have to remember, I'm a nail tech. I do nails, all this stuff. When I do ladies' nails, I do their nails for their men to notice, because women always complain that men don't notice those types of things. So for me, in my profession, if I can get your man to notice your nails, if I can get that compliment from him, then we've done something. We've created something, because those women want their men to be happy. And so I appreciate a man that notices like new earrings or something. I appreciate that, because to me it shows that he's paying attention to things that most people aren't paying attention to.
Let me jump in.
For me, that would be okay.
my nails done.
Let me jump in here real quick. So just to follow up with what Saria said in terms of her doing her clients' nails for her men to recognize. There's a content creator, and some of you guys probably never heard of him. I think Dave and maybe Anwar have. His name is Donovan Sharp. Been on YouTube circuits for some years. Great content for certain people, not for everyone. When he takes his girl to the salon, the nail tech asks, what does she want? And you know what she does? She turns to him and says, babe, what do you want? This is what Saria is talking about.
If somebody brings their man in for me, most of the time, I will ask their man, because if their man is that interested, then, this is a couple that I know. This is somebody that I know. Her man takes an interest, and I'm reading the comment. He says, we're men. We don't notice stuff like that. No, you don't notice stuff like that. Gavin. You don't notice stuff like that. There are men that notice things like that, and they get a lot more pussy too. I'm gonna just let you know. You better start noticing. Maybe you want to notice. So, and I think that's exactly what Rebecca was talking about earlier when she was saying that you lock yourself into a certain thing. When you said we're men, so now you're speaking for all men. We're men. We don't notice that stuff, and I just told you that I'm a nail tech, and I do it so that men can notice. And those women, every last one of those women come back in, and that's the first thing. It's also a way for me to get them back in. When you come back in here, I want to hear the compliments that your man gave you. You better believe that they come back in there. A lot of times they come back in with their man done sent me a message. Somebody text me, hey, I love what she did on your nails. See if she could do this. It becomes a competition. So when you have a relationship where you are noticing those types of things, then you will. If you have a woman that inspires that in you, then you will. So
I just want to address what Gavin said. I'm not here to defend him. I always, when I see comments like that, I always give that comment room to breathe and live. He's speaking in general terms. The average guy isn't really playing.
Speaking in general terms, but he said, but this is what.
Saria, give me a moment.
We're men. That's not a general term.
Saria,
that's very specific. We are men. We don't know things like that.
Saria, I will address that.
Yo.
When he
I gotta drop down, but I know the stuff like that.
Thank you,
Anwar.
That's appreciated.
All right, y'all.
All right,
that's simple.
When he says it, he's speaking for the masses of guys, but there are guys who do, just like Dr. Dunbar said, that do pay attention to that. However, they are in the minority. That's why he made the statement. Like I said, I'm not defending it.
Sounds like it's
so. Here's the thing.
No, they're not.
I think that what you should do,
y'all know this shit about women every
he said we're men
day.
And so that's just it. Because I already covered that there are men that do. I'm a nail tech, and I cater to those men that do. I already covered that. So he made a statement, and that's just what it is. So yes, Gavin, there are men that do that.
To stop a strange woman on the street and tell her, I love your hair, sis.
Earrings,
I love your
hair.
Men notice everything.
Yes, they do.
Y'all know
that.
They
sure do.
Speak on it, but men notice everything, especially when it comes to women. Don't nothing slip past your eye.
You might not notice that or appreciate it on your woman, but you notice it.
Men notice everything, just as women notice everything about a man. It may not be spoken on, but usually the things that are appealing to your eye are appealing to your eye. So for him to say, you know, we don't notice stuff like that, I don't think he speaks for the masses. Shit, a man will tell you if he think you got pretty toes.
You are exactly right.
I'm just saying, y'all
Sure
guys have to
will.
think about
That ain't
That
too many.
happens.
That ain't too many. That's about 2 out of 10. That's about 2 out of
Negative.
10.
Oh, no,
bullshit.
it
There's a
ain't.
website called
If a
It's
woman,
definitely not 2 out of 10, boy.
correctly.
It's about 2 out of 10.
Negative.
2 out of
Negative.
10.
like we
Like in
notice.
2
toes
out of
or
10 that'll admit it to you.
No, 2
Thanks.
out of
We
10
get
that
all
got
the
pretty
admit.
feet. 2 out of 10 that
We
got
got
pretty feet. That's what I'm
pretty
saying.
ain't
Talking
even it.
about
A
a man,
man that
2 out
likes
of 10.
feet
We talking
doesn't
about
care
men
if
that
they're
notice
pretty.
women with pretty feet, not men with pretty feet.
I ain't talking
I'm
about
just
men with
saying,
pretty feet. I
y'all.
don't give a damn about men having pretty feet. I'm talking about women with
Listen.
pretty
Oh,
feet.
I like a man
Listen,
with
a
pretty
guy
feet.
that has a foot fetish, most of the time he doesn't even care if the feet are pretty. They just have a
Yeah,
foot,
I'm
they
just
just want some
saying, men.
toes, darling.
That's
They
Y'all
bad.
don't
notice
That's
care.
that stuff
bad.
about
They just
women.
want some toes. But back to the answer to the rest of the answers. So yeah, that one is that. As far as so I simultaneously care what people think and don't give a fuck about how people feel. Let me explain. I want you, when you meet me, I would prefer it if you didn't think I was a murderer. So in that sense, I care what you think. My presentation is a certain way. I carry myself in a certain way. Is how I would like to be perceived. In that instance, and that instance only, is the instance where I care what people think. Other than that, I generally don't give a fuck about what you think about how I attain my happy, because everybody attains it in a different way. And if I take your opinion, I will live your lifestyle. And most of the time, the people that's giving opinions, if you take a real look into their life, honey, they they shouldn't be talking to nobody. So I go through what I need to go through to find my happy. And for me, as long as you finding your happy isn't hurting people, then I've got nothing to say. So therefore, I will not accept you saying shit to me. So that's where I am with that. And as far as where I see myself, and so where I see myself is doing exactly what I'm doing now. I'm actively building the life that I want. I had a goal for the type of, I want to be the type of old lady to take her dog to the dog parks. And I was like, I'm building every single solitary thing that I said I wanted in my life. I'm actively building those things right now. So, that's where that is with me.
All right. Scorpio T.
Um, definitely believe in boundaries. I believe in boundaries for others as much as I do for myself. I definitely give myself boundaries as it applies to anyone else, and I have my boundaries from other people. So yeah, I definitely do that. I actually forgot what number 2 was, so I what was
You're,
number
you're,
2 and
well,
3?
you're married though, so I don't know if it necessarily applies to you. This question, this question was more for the people who are single, potentially looking for a mate. So the question was geared for most people, because I believe most of us fit into that role. You're married, so I don't know if it necessarily pertains to you, but it was your ideal relationship. Is it based on old gender roles or current new age gender roles?
Okay, and what was number 3 also?
Number 3 is, are you willing to risk being disliked, considered an asshole, bitch, or any other non-flattering names to keep peace in your life?
Okay. So I am married already, so this is kind of like a point that might not necessarily apply.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm a person that I think I like elements. I don't think, but I like elements of both the traditional and the quote unquote new age. I think people should do what they're good at. For example, I am I'm not the person that you would call to do any kind of yard work whatsoever, because you are going to want to beat me when I say I'm done, because it's going to be absolutely
Me too.
terrible.
Me
Okay,
too.
I'm not the person you want to call for that. Okay, So I think people should do what they're good at. I do like some elements of the traditional marriage. I like my doors open. I like my husband to take me on dates. I like him to be a provider. But guess what? I also like to be able to add and build and do also. I make my own money and I'm not afraid to spend. If my husband right now couldn't work today, guess who's going to get to work? That's going to be me because I got him because he got me. So I like elements of both of it. For me, there's not necessarily a definition of this should be you and this should be me. Uh, if he, if he's not home and the garbage is overflowing, guess who's going to take the garbage out? So
Right.
for me, and if I'm not home and the dishes are dirty, guess who's gonna wash dishes? So there is no traditional role for me as far as I think people should do what they're good at. If he's good at the money, he takes care of the money. If I'm good at the money, I take care of the money. If he's great at house cleaning and I suck, let him take care of the house. I'll take care of the yard. It's no traditional role as far as that for me. Now I like my husband to be a man. Okay, I don't want him walking around in tutus and wearing high heels because there's no traditional role.
Trying to teach your
But
daughter how to walk in
Yeah,
high heel shoes,
exactly.
girl.
Exactly.
Trying to
I
teach
mean,
the grandbabies how to
listen,
walk in high heel shoes, girl.
I was about to
Girl,
say if we got them grandgirls now. If he don some high heels and say,
I
"Hey,
got
this what
all
you
girls.
do," I hold his hand while he teach him. But I'm just saying, I don't see that happening. With that being, and there are certain elements and aspects also that can be done, but don't necessarily have to be done. Like when I made the statement that a woman could teach her son how not to ejaculate quickly. Yes, she can, but should it be done? Probably not. It's not something that I necessarily deal with my
Yeah,
children
that's a
because they
hard
got
pass for me.
they got a father, so that's what he does. I'm saying it can be done. However, I do like aspects from both old and new school. Um, the third question was okay. So here's my thought about people. Okay, people are going to think what they're going to think of you, no matter what you do or what you don't do. That's it. That's all. And when they see
Girl.
you, they made up your mind that you are a certain class or a certain type of person. That's where they're going to keep you at. So it's totally up to you what you perceive. You know, do I care about the way my mother feels about me? Of course I do. Do I care about the way my children and my husband so on and so? Of course I do. Am I going to be as moved by somebody who doesn't know me and what they think about me? Not at all. So, with that being said, that's a hard question to say yes or no to because it's a little bit of a gray area for me. So, and I have been called names by men who considered me stuck up because listen, you're a piece of trash and I'm not entertaining you. And now I'm stuck up. So I'm fine with that. you know, I don't have a problem with that. So yeah, I guess I'm willing to endure those names. If I could change anything, or if what was the question? If you could be doing, what if you could do anything? I think mine would be on a wider scale level because I would totally love to end racism and poverty, but I don't have the magic wand to get that done. So that's kind of like if I could do anything in the world, that would be the thing that I would do. End child abuse, all types of things like that. It would be on a higher scale. As far as on my personal level, yeah, I'm building every day. My husband and I are building daily to try to attain the things that we want and where we want to be. And he has dreams, I'm helping him. I have dreams, he's helping me. So that's more of a personal thing. But on a wide scale basis, yeah, exactly what I said.
All right, all right. So that was some good stuff, and I like how you concluded Scorpio T with each other helping each other with dreams, and hey, that at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Whatever, when you with someone to help each other with each other dreams, that no person dreams should be more important than the others, and you need to be a strong support system for each other. But I guess when we look at self improvement, it all starts from first. it all starts from us first. So self-preservation, and until you get to that point of caring for yourself, and which made me I put up a post. Let me pull it up because I don't remember the exact words, but it says something to the effect. Hold on, bear with me.
The one I asked you about?
It was the guy was saying about the guy being worried, like he can't love,
Oh,
like a man can't love when he's worried.
well, it doesn't free him. It for men, and I'll direct this specifically for men who are struggling financially. For a lot of men who are struggling financially, it tears at their soul because they're under the impression from when they were born that they have to be able to maintain a home, whether it's good or bad. That's just the way society is structured. Now, we understand that we live in a different culture than what we were born into. So you have a lot of people who will say, well, that's not the way it has to be. But you can't change how an individual was raised and say, you don't have to worry about that because it's going to be something that that individual worries about. It's akin to telling a female that you're attractive enough. If she doesn't feel that she's attractive enough, it's not going to matter what anybody tells her. She's still going to have that air of self-doubt. It's the same way with men when it comes to finances and maintaining a home. So if he's consistently worried about that, it takes away from his ability to be free to give that love. And I'll use a scientific term like free radical. Those things are available to help. And if he doesn't have that to give, then it's going to make trying to get closer to him almost impossible because he's concerned with other ancillary things. Regardless of how the house is running, he's always thinking about that. There's always in his background. Is he providing enough? Is he good enough? Is he stable enough? Is he the type of man that his mate will want? Or is he the type of man that can attract the type of mate that he wants? It's almost like a computer background. It's always running, especially for men, regardless of what the situation is, because that's how we were raised. And that's not going to change anytime soon. In order for that to change the way that people want, you're going to have to deal with that for generations to come.
Yeah. So basically, it says scared money can't win, and a worried man can't love.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
If you believe what you just said, do you believe that women are not worried about those things? Because we have, especially when you have a woman who is taking care of herself, because that is something that I believe that what everyone should be taught is that they should be worried about where they're going to lay their head, how they're going to survive, and all of that stuff. But do you believe, because when you speak and I was listening to you and you said, a man has all of these things on his mind. So if you're trying to get close to him when he has all of those things on his mind, it's going to be hard for you to get close to him because he's dealing with those other things. And I guess my question is, do you believe that women are not dealing with those things as to why it may be hard to get close to some women who have their grind on their mind and who is oriented into getting themselves together?
They are, but they haven't been dealing with it as long as men have.
And
that's the
so
caveat.
What I'll say is that I disagree, and we'll just move on from there because we're all dealing with our own thing, especially when you're talking about the single woman and the single man. We all have those things that we have to worry about. We have to worry about a roof over our head as well. We have to worry about food in our belly as well. We have to worry about being able to take care of ourselves in the same way that a man would have to worry about taking care of himself, unless those individuals are just planning on being, drains on anybody that they're going to be with. But everyone has to worry about where they're going to lay their head. So
when you say that, so if it's two people who got a lot of worries and concerns going into something, how much output by his love is
For me,
how is
quite
that going to
honestly,
play
if
into
you're
effect?
struggling, you shouldn't even be looking for a relationship. That's
Okay.
where I'm at. If you do not have a roof, if you don't know where your next meal is coming from, if you do, if you don't have the basic things that a grown up is supposed to have, I believe that relationships should be off of your radar until you get yourself together. So for me, because see, I can fuck you, but you're right, I can't love you. I got other things on my mind. And so maybe that's the disconnect that we're having, because men don't have a problem going out and looking for sex while they're worried about all of those other things. But they don't want you to touch that heart, though. You can't get to my heart because I'm worried about the bills. Well, women are worried about the bills too. So that's why I said that I disagree with that. But like I said, for me, I don't believe that if you're not, if you can't take care of yourself, if you can't pay your rent, if you can't get food for yourself, I think that dating and relationships should be the last thing on your mind. But let's just be honest about it. Most people is dating. A lot of people are dating looking for another situation. They looking for another place to lay their head, or another where their meal is going to come from. And the easiest way to do that is to just go jump into a relationship with somebody. So,
That's a
I mean,
situation.
that's just how it is. Go find a nurse band or a Captain Save a Hole that likes to come to the rescue, and and that's for men and women. But like I said, for me, if your money ain't right, and I'll speak for myself. When my money is not right, y'all don't hear me come on here talking about going out and doing that. You hear me on the grind. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I have that. You can always tell when I'm feeling a little bit better about my financial situation, because now I'm ready to go out and celebrate and have a good time. But while I'm on my grind, when things not going right, nah, y'all, you hear me talking about my grind. I could give a damn less about some dude. All them numbers in my phone gonna be there once I get my money up.
Mofo, let me hold something. Let me hold something.
You can hold what you got in your pocket. That's what you can hold. That's what
wow.
you can do.
Wow.
Now I don't ask to hold nothing. So can't I do unto others as I have them do unto me.
So let me pose devil's advocate with your statement, or with your statement, not necessarily the question. And I'm not against what you're saying. I want to make that clear. There will be some people who will say they have a God-given right to seek out a relationship no matter what their financial situation is.
I fought for their God-given right to speak that nonsense. I fought for a lot of people's God-given right to say the stupid shit that they say. I fought for your right to feel stupid. I fought for your right to look stupid. I fought for your right to choose to be stupid. I fought for all of that. So, honey, you're welcome. You could go do what you want to do. That's why I made the distinction about what Saria thinks for Saria. I can't go out.
No. But
I can't go out
like
when I'm
everybody's trying to do me and put you on the hot seat. But
listen, my seat is hot all on its own. They can say what they would like. They can, yes, like I said, you do have that right. I fought for your right to do that stupid shit. So go ahead and do it and see how your life keep on ending up.
Okay.
That's how it is. Like I said, what am I supposed to say?
No. That's what I was getting at, because some people don't understand that your outcome, a lot of our collective outcomes, whether individually or collectively, are doomed to failure because of the way we start out.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of people will say, well, that's not true.
Absolutely.
And this is why we see dysfunctional relationships, because we have people that are dysfunctional getting together, and heaven forbid if that dysfunctional relationship produces a child. And I'm often categorized as being mean and evil spirited when I say this. There are some people who just shouldn't have children.
That's not why people say you're mean and evil spirited, because that's an absolutely true statement. Some people shouldn't.
No.
That is absolutely true. There are a lot of people
we ain't gonna
who
use
shouldn't
that
have
as an
kids.
excuse. You say a whole bunch of stuff as to why people
trust
because of that statement, because that's
no. I'm not saying that's the sole reason. I'm saying that's one of many reasons.
Gotcha.
Believe me, I'm well aware of the perception of me, and I like I said, I don't try and fight that. Perceptions are too hard to fight. I live and walk as I do. You know, I'm catching it from the left. I'm catching it from the right. Believe me, I had my own brother yesterday called me a troll because of what I said. So I catch it from everywhere.
So let me ask you this, Herb. So you catch it from everywhere. Do it ever come to a point that you say, "Man, I want to ease some of this, whatever," and I want to work on certain areas so I'm not always perceived as whatever they perceive you as?
Somebody want to answer the question for Herbert?
No. I was just throwing in my 2 cents. He said whatever. I mean,
are you going to answer the question for Herbert?
Well, if you be quiet for a minute, you can see what the rest of I was going to say. But go ahead.
Me. You can't
I understand
me.
Alexa,
Lord
stop.
Jesus. Go ahead.
Jeez, and then y'all wonder why I react the way I do. He directed the question to me.
I said go ahead, and you want to keep on going. Go.
I don't, because when you start to conform to what other people want, you lose part of your identity. For me, self-identity is the absolute most important thing that I have. So no, I don't try to conform to what other people want. I take their input, and the question I ask is, why do they want me to change? And more importantly, do I need to change? And what is that change going to get me? And often I come back to the same situation that I'm in now. The change doesn't benefit me. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't make me any better. It doesn't make me any worse. It just brings me to where I am now.
Now, I got another question. It's something you had posted in the Counselor's Corner when we were talking about goals, and you had mentioned that you met with your general manager, and he said something about guest services. So I'm eager to know what that was about. Was it about you not, speaking to customers, or what? I mean, you don't got to go all in depth, but I was just curious when you wrote that.
In depth. The problem that I have is, if I say too much, it offends somebody. And if I don't say anything, it offends somebody. So it puts me in a position of, where do I draw the line? And this is something that Scorpio T, I believe, I always get them mixed up, where we talked about customer service. At what point do I not say anything in order to avoid getting in trouble? Because if I say too much, it gets me in trouble. And if I don't say anything, it gets me in trouble. So what do? And that was something he said, well, you're not going to be able to win them all. He said, sometimes you have to kind of pick and choose. And this is a conversation I've had with my brother. So it becomes a balancing act that I'm never going to win. So I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't.
Well, I think you're damned if you can never really say too much, but you can say too much of the wrong thing.
But hold on, Rebecca. But how do I know what is the wrong thing until after I have said it?
Well, because one thing I will say about you is that you're not stupid. Okay, when you're saying the wrong thing. Come on now,
man. Come on,
you work in customer service.
That is not an answer.
Wait a minute now. If I walk up to you and whatever it is that you do, and you say, good evening, Miss Johnson, stank bitch. You've said too much. That's kind of obvious. That's kind of obvious, right?
I'm not even going to dignify
as opposed to you having a 5-minute conversation. Good morning, Miss Johnson. It sure is a nice day outside, and I have some recommendations for breakfast, blah, blah, blah. Now, I might not want to hear all of that, but you most certainly have not offended me. So when you say saying too much or nothing at all, or if I say, excuse me, Herb, can you tell me how to get to the nearest mall? And, you just look around. You can never say too much or too little, but how you say it, that too much or too little, is what will get you in trouble. Because after all, it's customer service. Most of us work in a job where we have customers. Can't nobody sit at her nail table, and I can't walk up to no patient talking shit, because that's the quickest way to get your face on the side of a milk box. Don't ever go see her again. Don't ever let her take care of you again. So if your customer skills are not up to par, I doubt highly it's because how long you talk or how short you talk. It's probably about what you say in that short or long conversation. And knowing you the way we all know you, I can only imagine how some of those conversations might go, because you had already told us how you ignored the woman who asked if you tried to poison her drink or what she said to you. And you chose not to speak to her because you thought she was trying to kick it to you. And so you just chose to ignore her. So knowing you the way that I know you, I could only imagine some of the shit that you say to people when you just don't want to be bothered.
Exactly. Your tone means a lot when you're talking to
we
people,
all could have
and
answered
people
that
recognize that kind of thing. And I mean, in certain situations, you gotta learn to defer somebody to someone else. You don't want to talk to them, find somebody who will talk their fucking ear off and answer all their questions. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I can't help you right now, but my man right here, he got you. And walk off. Problem solved.
You ain't good. Yeah, and you're not gonna change your
way. You don't have to help everybody. Learn to defer to other people.
This is what I love about the scenarios that you guys post. 99.9% of the time that I'm presented with a problem, guess what I can't do? I can't walk away. So I'm stuck there. This is why I say what I say, but everybody wants to put in something and think they have the solution when they don't understand what the problem is.
I'm not giving you a solution. I'm making a suggestion. There's a difference. Now, if you don't have the capacity to walk away, then you need to go along with what they said and watch how you talk to people.
But the assumption is that I'm talking to people in a manner that's offensive when that's not the case.
Here's the thing. You may not perceive yourself as being offensive or aggressive, but are you the person sitting across from you? That's the thing. Remember what you said about perception? Perception carries a lot.
Understand what their perceptions are. This is why I don't.
You don't give a damn what their perceptions are, and you wonder why you be called on the carpet.
I never said I don't care. I said I don't fight them. What you heard was I don't care. And that's the point. No matter what I do, everybody's going to perceive it in the way that they want to, which is why I don't fight perceptions.
So you don't have to fight it, but that's why you get the feedback that you get, because of that attitude right there. You say you get it from the left, you get it from the right, from the front, from the back. It's not just one or two people who perceive you that way. And so if you don't want to change, your attitude and how you speak to people, that is absolutely your choice. But if you don't change something about how you speak to people, then your ass is gonna end up where you at.
Saria, go ahead.
What I was asking, when you're at work, because a lot of times how we are at work is completely different than how we are when we're on social media. Now, me personally, what you see with me is what you get. So my question is, so when you're at work, is there, because I'm not really sure what you do, but is there a scenario that you can give us with that pertains to customer service where you didn't know what to say and what not to say?
Case in point, there's a situation that occurred this past weekend. There was a fire alarm that went off. Now, me and the coworker, I told him to grab the downtime report. Now, downtime report contains information that has guest information, finances, and room numbers of things of that nature. It's what we do in case there's an emergency, in case we have to evacuate the building. Now, I went over, checked the panel, and the panel reads out what room the alarm is coming from, or if it's coming from a general area in the hotel. So I went up the stairs, went to the room, knocked on the door. Now, I saw visually that there was no fire, no smoke, but I had to have them empty out the room, and I did that. Flushed the hallways, Just there was to make sure that everybody who was on there knew not to use the elevators and down to the lobby. Now, I knew what the fire department was going to do because I've been through this before. When we got all the guests situated and everything else, I had a guest come up to me and was complaining about there being marijuana smoke on the floor that he was staying at, and kids in the room that were unsupervised that was keeping up a boatload of noise. Now, I have gotten a rough report about there being a problem on that wing of the floor. Now, keep in mind, I work the front desk. We don't have security. So in the midst of trying to explain this to this individual, the individual was thinking I was lying. He wanted to know who was working and who he spoke to. I couldn't give him that information because I don't know who he spoke to. He asked me what our procedures were. I went through what our procedures were, said we documented complaints, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He said he didn't give his information, so there's no way. I said, sir, I understand. I said, I can't tell you who you spoke to. I can only tell you what our procedures are, which is what he asked. So we go through this song and dance for about 5 minutes. And at the end of it, when I said, sir, trust me, he said, I don't trust people because the next words that coming out of their mouth is generally a lie, especially Caribbean people. Now, if I was half the man that I am, I'd have probably walked around from my desk and whipped his ass. I didn't.
Why? Why?
Because that's an insult. It's a racial insult.
It was a racial insult. He said, I don't trust people that say trust me because after they say that, they're going to say blah, blah, especially them Caribbean people. That was a direct slur. That was a direct, slur.
I still wouldn't, I mean.
But hold on. But what I'm saying is this. I didn't say anything. I let it go. And that's what I mean. If that was a different incident where I was on the street, there would have been an altercation. So I tell people what I tell you and how I behave here is not what you see at work. We are two different
people. So you're saying that that's the instance where you didn't know what you should say and what not to say?
Right. Because I
say this.
I'm not security. That's not my job.
Right.
But even,
I don't know what.
Hold on.
I don't know how much.
Hold on, Scorpio T. Let me finish. So this is what I'm saying. There's situations that come about that happen in a similar vein that I can't do anything. And because I appear to be standoffish or I appear not to give information, people think I'm being obtuse. When in actuality, it's not the case. So what do I do in a situation where I can't assist the guest and the guest thinks I'm lying or the guest thinks I'm mistreating them?
Well, and this is what I was going to say. I don't know how much support you get from your company, but when I worked at mine, my response would have been, I want you to understand that staying here is not a necessity. It's a privilege. And when you don't know how to treat anyone in this hotel, you can be asked to leave at any time. I don't mind helping you with your issue. I can give you what I got within the confines of what our rules are. But outside of that, I'm going to need you to speak to someone else. But understand, staying here is a privilege. Now, the hotel that I worked at, they would have stood beside us because they didn't play that. You see what I'm saying? You couldn't make racial slurs to their employees and think you were going to stay there. They were going to put you on your butt. So it's a matter of how much support you have within the confines of your job. Front desk people are not supposed to leave front desk, period.
Right.
And so to ask me to leave the front desk is something that I cannot do. So, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. That's just something I can't do.
Well, I'm not going to get into the inner workings of the company, but suffice it to say, there are times where I have to go do something for a guest. I can't tell a guest no, because if I do, then that whole thing comes back along. Well, it was his tone or it was this. I had a female tell me I was being aggressive on the phone. I'm thinking, how am I being aggressive on the phone if I ask you what I need? I'm sorry, what you need. That's all.
The correct phrase would have been, how can I assist you or how can I help you, not what you need.
My thing is what I always wanted my customers to understand is that I am here to help you solve your problem.
Mhm.
So if you don't communicate effectively with me what your actual problem is, I cannot help you solve it. So what
Correct.
I need from you is to give me the information that's going to allow me to fix what is going wrong for you. Now, that may not mean that I am the person that can fix it, but I can definitely get you in touch with the person that needs to fix it.
And therein lies the problem, Scorpio T. Often it's only me and another front desk service agent there. There's no housekeeping, no management, and no one else to call. So in
Mhm.
that situation, guess who's left holding the bag?
And here's at the end of the day, when management or anyone else has any, see, here's the thing: when you ask someone to use their opinion or to follow their opinion or to do what they think is best, then you can't call me to the carpet, because at that moment that was the best decision that I could make. Now,
And
if you give me some more tools to work with,
right,
I can get you some better results.
and that's often the situation that I'm in.
Well,
Yeah, that's a hard
yeah.
situation to be in customer service. But instead of, I mean, I don't think I would have just said to let the general manager say things to me without them understanding that this is the outcome you want. In order to have that outcome, I need certain tools. I need certain liberties. If you're not willing to give us those liberties, then this problem is going to be a reoccurring problem. And it doesn't matter if I'm sitting in the seat or someone else is sitting in the seat.
Correct.
It's the system. So you have to find a system that works. So if it's two of you, one of you needs to be the runner and the other one of you needs to be at the front desk. And
No,
that way that'll help solve it.
and we do that when possible. The only thing is, it's not always possible.
Well, let me say this. You ever think, Herb, like, are you sure that's the line of business that you want to be into?
Oh, no, believe me, that's a discussion I have with myself often. That was something I asked my brother. I said, and when I called him, I said, the first thing I said was, do you think sometimes life is telling us a message and we're not getting it?
Mm-hmm. All the time.
And
Because
also, you have to
because
also always remember when you're doing customer service, it's never, ever about your ego. If it's about your ego, you will go wrong every single. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just talking to you. I'm
Yeah,
saying it cannot be about your ego and you cannot take things personally. I told you before when I worked at the hotel, a couple got mad and was ready to fight because I did not know where Michael Jackson's house was. And my response was, hey, I can get you a map, then you can work it out. They were mobile. You know what I'm saying? The difference is we did have security at our hotel. We did have that. But people have some unrealistic expectations. So it can never be about your ego. Because if you allow your ego to get in there with their unrealistic expectations, it's definitely gonna end bad. There's no other way for it to end.
trust me,
let me
there's no ego with me at work. I'm there to do a job. I'm there to deliver what the guest needs as quickly and expeditiously as possible. That's my attitude when I'm at work. There is no. What I always tell people is this: what you see sitting in this seat speaking, you come to work, and I am not that person.
But see, what I want to add to that, and I know you go to do a job, but sometimes you got to be aware of the situation and got to add a little bit of something to it to change up the dynamics. As me, we know most time people are already looking for a ding when they come in, want something to complain about or whatever the case is. And me being like the department chair of school council, a lot of times parents come in and they just going off and carrying on. And I'm kind of mild man and I'm just laid back. And then sometimes my secretary, like, Mr. Glover, you might have to come out here and talk to this parent. I come out there, chill, whatever, bring the parent back to my office. And I don't know, I always had this little grin on my face, whatever. But somehow talking to him, being calm, and I might even laugh and like like it might be some parent going over like, really? And they might talk about what they gonna do to this staff or what they gonna do to this teacher. And I might say something like, really? You about to go to jail behind because they didn't email you back or whatever the case is. And typically once they think about it, they might start laughing like, yeah, you're right. Then they'll go into other stuff that led them, because usually if the response is not warranted, it's something else that drove those emotions. And if you can get to that core and figure out, like, I just had a bad day or whatever the case is. I worked overnights. I've been up and I didn't sleep. So my daughter texted me and said this teacher was doing this and that. But once somebody with a common effect talks to them, things could change. So in your case, I know sometimes if it's only you or somebody else, and sometimes customers can be jackasses. I think sometimes you just got to try to fill them out. And I keep thinking about the case with the woman asked you, did you put something in her drink, whatever. I think that would have been a time to deflect some humor in the situation. And she would have been able to, she would have probably responded different. I don't know if she did evaluation and wrote it up and made a complaint, but I think if you would have.
But her issue was the fact that
they just want to be heard.
I'm sorry.
A lot of the times they just want to be heard. It doesn't matter really what their problem is. They just want to be heard.
That wasn't her issue. That was not her issue.
Not her. Not her.
No,
did I miss something? We talking about drinks and stuff, and somebody.
All right, hold on, Saria. I don't know if you were on the panel when I discussed that. I was down at the pool doing pool duty, and pool duties is just essentially me monitoring the number of people that are in the pool so we don't exceed our limit. So drinks aren't allowed in the pool. Doesn't matter what they are. So the lady left the drinks out there, and I think a couple of other members in the party did too. Now I was sitting out there writing some things down, listening to a podcast, and she came out and she asked if I drank from her drink. I said no.
She asked you if you drank from her drink.
Guess
how I laughed. That's how I would have laughed at her.
Hold on, Saria. Hold on. I said no. She asked me if I was having a bad day.
No. Did you say no, or did
she
no?
wasn't trying to make a joke or flirt with you? Because I feel like that just went over your head.
I did finish her. I really want to hear this. So she asked you, did you drink out of her drink? And you said no. She said, are you having a bad day? And you said
no.
Okay.
Now, I didn't go any further with anything else. She said that she had a terrible experience with the guy at the pool. I'm the only one that does pool duty. So it was me. And I explained I didn't tell my hotel GM that she asked me if I didn't tell there was.
So what was her horrible experience? That was it?
Yes. The fact that I wouldn't reciprocate in conversation with her. I'm like, the question you asked me is disgusting. It's repulsive in nature to ask any individual that doesn't know you in the middle of a pandemic, did they drink out of your drink, especially alcohol when I'm at work.
Okay. Well, see, and that's where when you said no, that's when you said no.
That as a joke.
Yeah, I would have said.
I would have thought she was trying to break the ice or something, because you saw my response.
Exactly my thought.
I think that probably would have been my response. I'd have been like, "What? Did I drink from your drink?"
Hey, sorry, I don't drink.
Like, no,
I don't drink on the
job. Something for your drink.
So okay, so her issue with you from that encounter was that you were not cordial to her.
She said she had a bad experience. She didn't elaborate.
Okay, so she was probably just looking to have a different experience.
I was drunk too
with you. Probably, I mean, because that wouldn't have been my first question if I'd have walked up on my drink, unless I was trying to break the ice with you. Then if she's trying to find something to say, but hey. Here's what I'm gonna say. You can't please all of them. You never know what's in these customers' minds. You never know where they're coming from. For me, like David said, I always try to, if I feel, like a customer is getting a little antsy, I will try to insert some levity into the situation. But I have also had to just go ahead and stop a customer and remind them, hey, listen, I'm the person who really wants to help you. And see, with you speaking to me like that, the level of customer service that you're about to get from me is directly dependent upon the tone of voice you're using. Because I really want to help you, but right now you biting the wrong person's head off. So either I may need to get somebody else for you, or we're going to need to check that tone. I've said those exact words to someone. I ended up getting a commendation because that very same person, I not only diffused, because they was calling, it was a white man, and I mean, he was going off. He was ripping it. I used to work for Panasonic, and he was ripping it, and I'm trying to help him. I'm trying to give him all the solutions that I know, and he's just still just letting it rip. And it just got to a point, sir, I'm trying to help you, but we can't, there's nothing about this paycheck that says that I'm about to sit here and listen to you speaking to me in this manner, especially when I'm trying to help you. Not the one that broke your TV, not the one that did whatever. I want to help you. I want to get this issue solved just like you do. But there's going to need to be a change in the tone before I can go any further with you. I did not care whether I was going to get in trouble with my management, because again, there is no job that's paying me enough to take disrespect. I'm just not going to do it. So I have had to get some customers together, but that's a last resort. Usually my first thing is I'm trying to insert some levity into it, at the same time letting them know that I do hear your issue. I'm so sorry that there's not necessarily anything that I can do about it, but I hear you and I can get you to the person who can. So it's just, and I used to go into companies and tell them about customer retention. So that's how I know you're not going to please every customer. We all know that there are some customers that are absolutely determined to have a bad day. They're absolutely determined. And no matter what you do.
And I do want to preface the things that you guys hear about in terms of work issues are the complaints, which are few and far between. I'll have anywhere between 50 and 100 guest interactions almost every shift I work. Rarely do I have issues. So the things that you guys are hearing about are only the things that go wrong, because that's why I'm looking to make the improvement. I don't tell you about the things that go right, because there's nothing to be gained from me per se from that. So just keep in mind that it's not every time I walk into work there's an issue. Oftentimes I'll go without having an issue. I'm only telling you guys about things that crop up because I'm trying to figure out a way to either resolve them or deal with them a bit better. And it's just like Saria said, no matter what you do, sometimes the outcome is never going to match what you do.
Yeah.
So
that's what I had a person ask me, he said, well, how do I deal with the people that don't want to hear you don't? You're there to help the people who want to be helped. You're there to do the job that you're there to do. If there's somebody who's refusing to listen to you, it ain't shit you can do. You can't go and clean their ears and make them listen and find out what their upbringing was and do you understand? No, you can't, because you're not going to be able to please everybody. We're a very sensitive society nowadays. Everything is offensive. Everything, you say somebody eye black, even if it is, you done offended them. And so we're dealing with a lot of butthurt people out here that, they would rather censor you than just deal with a different opinion or a different way of doing things. So when I found myself in those situations where a customer could not be pleased, I very happily suggested that I could get somebody else to talk to them, because maybe I'm not saying it in the way that you can get. There's no other way to say it, but if you can't hear it from me, I'm very, very happy to go ahead and give you somebody else.
There is nothing more that I would love than to pass off a difficult guest or a guest that I'm having an issue with to somebody else, but I can't.
Usually I'm the person that gets that difficult customer. I'm the one that somebody done passed them off because that's the role that I'm always in. If I'm in a customer service role, I am going to be the person that if somebody else in the office can't deal with this customer, give them to SJ. She know how to do it. Because I just take all the emotion out. After I done listen to you tell them what the procedure is, and I know that they know what the procedure is, now we just dealing with which part of it didn't you understand? Because see, there's
I stay at a lot of hotels. Yeah, a lot of damn drama at a damn hotel. Shit, I don't know.
Hold up, say that again, David.
I said, I stay at a lot of damn hotels and stuff, whatever. Yeah, a lot of damn drama at a hotels. You go in there, check in, whatever you go to your room, clean, and then you out. Like,
with the person at the front desk. Give me my key.
Give me my damn key, whatever. The key working, and you keep it moving. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Like, key and let me go.
The room, you need a towel.
I'm gonna tell you about a situation. Some people are just buttholes and they are bullies, but they don't know who to bully. They had hired a young girl. She might have been 17, maybe 16. And it was kind of like her first job. She was at the front desk. Basically she was a cashier. That's basically what her job was. And so there was this guy he had kind of tried to come at a lot of the women that were working. I was the shuttle driver, so I was in and out. I wasn't always at the front desk. So I just happened to come in. This poor little girl basically got tears in the eyes. She's bright red. She's flustered beyond belief. Mind you, the girl hadn't been there a month, okay? And so it was this guy, and he was really going hard on her. So I stood there for a second because I wanted to hear what he had to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, did she short him out of money or something? Because then that's a problem she's going to need to learn to deal with. But that wasn't his issue. So he was berating the little girl, and I just stepped in. I said, what is wrong with you? I said, you screaming and hollering at this girl. This child is a cashier. She can't fix whatever your problem is because she only know how to do one job, and that's to take the money. Now, if you got a problem, I'll fix your problem. But don't you ever come in here and yell at this little baby. She the youngest person on the floor. Don't you ever come in here and yell at her like you crazy. He said, oh, okay, ma'am. Well, I had talked to, no, you were speaking clearly 10 minutes ago. Speak up, put your big boy voice on.
Get that
and
energy,
this is exactly how I was talking to him. That's exactly how I was talking to him because it infuriated me because I feel like you're just browbeating this baby because she's the baby of the crew, So when he was challenged back, which is not something that I would normally do, I would have been a lot more cool about the situation, but it infuriated me so I couldn't contain myself. So at the end of the day, his problem was a problem he had created. And the answer to solving that problem was him. So I had to step in because I just couldn't take it, So a lot of people are just bullies and they figure you can't say anything back because the customer is always right. Yeah, correct. You're always right, but guess what else you are? You're also wrong. So in this instance, even if the customer is always right, you still can't get what you want because the customer is always right.
And more often lately, I will say lately, ever since about March of last year when everything started to go haywire, we started to get an influx of people across the spectrum, across the ethnical spectrum, that aren't our usual customers. And my hotel tends to cater to a higher end of people. So it's just like David said, they come, check in, and check out. We don't have to. Now, we're dealing with some staffing issues that's magnifying some problems. I will say that. And often, we at the front desk, we bear the brunt of it because we are the only people that they can speak to that can even remotely address their needs. And sometimes we can't just because we don't have the capacity to, whether it's a shortage of this or a shortage of that. Sometimes we'll get people that come in and they'll say they have made a reservation for one type of room, but that's not what the reservation says. Now, if we can make do and switch the reservation, we'll do that. But oftentimes, because of our limited room capacity with certain types, we can't. And from then on, it's on. They're not happy no matter what you do. So
Can I
You
say
have a right
something
to
real
not
quick?
be. You have a right
Listen.
to not be happy. You have an absolute right not to be happy, but that's not going to
You
change the
have a right
outcome.
to cancel
You can
that
be unhappy.
reservation and go your ass somewhere else with that attitude. That's what you have a right to.
but see, and see,
See, he can't say that.
I know
correct.
he can't say
He
that,
can't say that.
but I
Correct.
That
know
would
he
have to
can't
be
say
that
that.
would have to be
Now,
a plant in the
now y'all
lobby.
get to the
5 minute warning.
Like I
Time to
know
wrap
he
it
can't
up.
say that.
5 minute
That would have to
warning.
be that plant in the corner. That's me. That's like, yeah, you got the right to go give to another hotel too. That would have to
That's
be somebody
exactly
planted in the
what me,
lobby.
the customer
He can't
behind
say
him,
Thus
would be
the
saying.
that's what
statement
your
You
when
have
I
the
job
right to
said,
is.
cancel
Y'all
that
need to
reservation
hire
and
a
go your ass
lobby
somewhere
plant.
else and get out the
That's what you
way.
need to do.
see
Hire a
now see
lobby
the funny
plant.
thing is everybody's showing their true nature, but I don't. I do that
Hire
at
a
work
lobby plant.
because I understand that
remember what?
word.
Remember when I told you that staying here is a privilege. It's not a right. So don't get that confused. It's not a right. You have
You
a.
know
It's a
you know
privilege
what I
to
would
stay
love
here.
to be able to do is just wear a camel one day, just so you guys get.
Like I said, tell your people, hire an office plant. Tell them hire a lobby plant. Hire somebody to just put them on the schedule. All they do is they come in and they sit in the lobby and they wait on mofos to come in to talk shit. So that they can talk shit too as a customer. Because the stuff that you can't say, you might want to
They
say
sure
you
can
can
say.
carry your ass right about this door. Get the lobby plant. The lobby plant. Let them act like a person in the line that's impatient. Oh.
I've certainly done that shit before.
Hire a lobby
Holding
plant.
up the line.
Put them right up in
There's
there.
other people that need to check in.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Hire a lobby plant. Yes.
Y'all got too much
Hire
drama
him.
at a hotel. Listen, we
Yeah, them
about to get up out
hotels
of
be
here.
having drama. Them people
It's
crazy.
got to run. So let's.
Them people be crazy.
You already know how I like to growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. See you next time. Godspeed.
Girly
Get a
girl.
lobby plant, her. Tell them. Get a lobby plant. Put that in the suggestion box. They'll thank you.
Get an email.
Is that your closing words, Soraya? Because we about to close
No,
this
that ain't my
out.
damn clothes. You know my closing words. Wrong
That's just gonna change up. Who's next?
To thine own self be true.
Is that Gorilla Glue? Oh no, that's not. Okay.
you know what? Oh man.
So you
I know
done
y'all
Scorpio
believe
T?
that damn woman. Damn. Ain't none of us believe that woman. Get out of here.
Oh, they got Gorilla Tape for down below too.
Girl, ew. Why do you know that? Why do you know that, Dick Germs? Why do you know that?
I just saw a meme on Facebook. I don't know about that personally. You know, I get waxed.
Brolic T, this remind me of a self-contained classroom.
Yes, very much.
Stay
so.
focused. Like, what the hell? Closing points. That's the objective. State your points so we can get up out of here. Like her pull some out of his book bag, cutting up, and now y'all distracted and lost the message.
Gorilla Glue. I had to ask the question.
Man, you sound like
how they taste is Kodak cakes. It was advertising some waffle and pancake mix. So I'm gonna let the masses know how it tastes, and if it's good, I'll tell you to go orders. It's a non-paid promo.
Don't you say, let me see that.
Who's next?
I'll go next because my phone's about to die. Thanks, everybody. See you next time. Life is like a Rubik's Cube. Life is like a Rubik's Cube. You twist and turn until you find the right combination of things. There.
I thought that heifer was about to say a box of chocolates.
All right.
But bye, everybody. Have a safe week.
All right, thanks, Anita. You stay safe too. Brolic T. Is she gone?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought of.
I hate a liar. Go ahead and say it. I hate a liar.
Oh, I definitely hate lies, and I don't like when people make bets and they don't honor them either. That's like the biggest lie. That's why I get to stay on the show.
I ain't gonna even get up that debate. Whatever. Seems like y'all two need to negotiate this $50 thing.
Fuck a negotiation. I don't do negotiations. Either you honor your word, or that just tells a lot about yourself. I judge people on what they do, not what they say, because people lie. That's why I say be honest with others, because nobody likes a liar.
Girly girl, what you doing up there, crocheting?
Now I'm twisting my son's locks.
Closing words.
I mean, this particular discussion probably had me in my feelings more than usual. Again, and maybe I'm a little more forward thinking than I thought I was listening to this conversation, but it's always enlightening to hear other people's opinions. And I always appreciate the ladies' opinions. I still love my big-headed friend over there. That ain't gonna never change. Thanks for letting me be on the panel.
You know, you're always welcome on the panel, so you can stop saying thank you every week.
I mean, that's the polite thing to do.
Yeah, I know. Appreciate you. Everybody went?
Whatever, dude. You know, everybody done went. Shut up. Look, you already know what I said. You already know what I said. Check yourself more than you check other people, because you're the only person that you can control. And the new one, well, not new one, is that, fair exchange is no robbery. So, practice not being a fucking thief out here in these streets. Give as good as you get. Okay, stop being a thief out in these streets. I'm sorry your son is there. I didn't even mean that, but take the bad word out, because the message still stays the same, because he could listen to it too. Don't be no thief out there, little man. Fair exchange is no robbery. Fair exchange. That's what I got.
As we can see, the conversations go so many different ways. But no matter what, no matter how they end up or where they go, it's always some valuable information. Whether you're talking about self-improvement, when we brought up the information last week about parenting, and then you can look at the comments and see what people say. So people, base stuff on their experiences. So the thing about this, there's no right or wrong answer. So nobody should feel like they got the right answers. We may defend our point real strong, but when I think about the thing about, fathers raising daughters or their sons and vice versa, it's all individual. It's all an individual case by case situation. And a lot of it, no matter what people will say, we need each other. You're going to need help somewhere down the line from somebody. And whether you utilize it or not, that's on you. But a wise person would say, you know what, I'm going to use all my resources, because they didn't come up with that slogan. It takes a village to raise people for no reason. So that means it's meant for call a friend, do whatever to kind of get these kids through, or adults as well. So I'm going to end it on that. Like I said, back in the schoolhouse, still feeling a little weird about that, just the way things going. But hey, what can I do? I'm summons to be there. Kids isn't there yet, but it's still going to be a mess. They just
wait till the kids get there. I'm telling you.
I already know.
And look, they was kids is already Ebola monkeys. Oh my God. Now they gonna come through with the COVID. Man, because you catch a kid cootie. Listen, before the COVID, if you caught a kid cootie, that thing will put you down. Now they want, kid cooties is the worst, honey. They the worst.
And most of them coming back after spring break in April. So by that time, the weather may have broke.
Everybody coming with their immune systems all down from being in their own house and not around nobody.
Cut a damn fool when they get in there for the last quarter. Cut a damn fool, and they can't wait. They can't wait.
Petri dish full of stuff.
They're gonna be out of control, man.
Did you get your vaccine yet?
I didn't even. I've been holding out, whatever, waiting. I didn't get no vaccine. I didn't even look to get one. I just been holding out.
You know,
I know I should
And
get
teachers
one.
just got approved in Louisiana.
I didn't even think about it.
So I'm still. They gonna. I'm probably gonna be one of the last ones. The superintendent probably got to email me, or the board of health before I before
They gonna
I
have
get
to
it.
freeze every asset I got.
Everybody else can go before
I ain't
me.
mad at
Let me count how many don't die, and then I'll think about it.
Okay.
I got mine
Let's
about
see if they
I
grow.
got my
Let's
first
see if
one
they
about
grow
2
an arm
weeks
out their
ago.
back.
You got yours,
Mhm.
Rebecca. How are you?
I
Did
got
you
my
have to get
first
the
dose
one with
about
the
2
2
weeks ago.
series?
Yeah.
And how are
Yeah.
you fit? You got both of them?
I have it. They claim it's the second one. Generally, that makes you feel some type of way. The first one, I was fine. I was scared. I pretty much cried my way through it. Sat down, talked to my kids because they were just like, especially my daughter. She was like, "Why?" I was like, "Somebody's got to get it for this family." So if something happened to me, take care of the house type shit. But I got Moderna.
Because I know I think there's 2 in the U.S. One is Pfizer, and I can't remember the other one.
Moderna.
Okay.
That's the
It's
one
the
I
fact
got.
that
My
it's
boss told me to
opposing
stay
ones
away
out
from the
there for
other
me.
one.
Like,
So, but I
So
feel
because
like everybody else. I have all these conspiracy theories about it, but it keeps mutating, and being a nurse, and my son is immunocompromised. Somebody in this house had
yeah,
to get
Is
it,
he?
and
I
my
understand
daughter's a
I
teacher.
understand why you did it.
I didn't know he was immunocompromised.
Yeah, I mean, he ain't but that damn big, and just
Well,
about
yeah, no,
anything will make
I
Eric sick.
recall all that.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was
So what do they
immunocompromised.
say the first? What do they say the first shot is actually supposed to do if the second shot is the one that?
It just helps to build your immune system, but it's like getting your Hep B series. You got to get 3 shots before it's really effective. So the second shot is like a booster.
Oh,
So
okay.
usually if you feel a side effect, generally they say it's with the second one. And my boss, it made her real tired for maybe about 3 or 4 days, but everybody's different. But I figure if I survive it, then my kids will. That's my hope, that I can. My daughter's a teacher, and I need her to get it too. She don't want to, and I'm not gonna force her. And I feel like everybody else, I have too much mistrust of the government. But at the end of the day, if the virus don't get us, the injection will. So I just figure I may as well go ahead and give it a shot, and pray for the best. I took it out of my hands and put it in somebody else's hands, really and truly. I did, but so far so good.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah,
well, I'm glad.
I'm still holding out.
I'm glad
I
too.
just got my
But
MMRs a couple years ago, so that's how long I hold out for
and
this.
I don't hate on nobody that don't want to get it. I really don't, because I understand the fears and the concerns. So I ain't hating on nobody that don't want to get it, but this shit is crazy out here, and it's even worse in the nursing field. I got to go into strangers' homes every single day. I don't know what the fuck I'm encountering. I don't know what practice they're doing. And then I got to come home to my family. And
No,
it's just it's to the point now I can't risk that shit no more.
and you know what? It's funny you say that, because the brother that I have that is doing something similar in terms of going in and doing COVID checks.
Yeah, you just they don't they I if it's a conspiracy, is at this point it's whatever. They done scared me enough, and I done seen enough people die. Well, people that never really had a health history, just die, and then some old people fucking survive it. So it don't seem to be no method to the madness when it comes to this particular virus. And I think that's what worries me the most. You just never know who it's gonna hit, and you can't social distance enough, when really and truly, to do it the absolute proper way, you'd be living in a bubble. and there really is no true way to social distance. Everybody ain't got the right mask. You know, that little cloth shit don't do shit.
I mean, not a damn
everybody
thing.
needs,
Like
everybody needs
Listen,
not a
everybody needs
damn
to be fit,
thing.
and so, you know,
So I stay in
if
my
y'all
house.
do decide to get it, let me know. If you do decide to get it, I'll keep you in my thoughts, and I'll let y'all know how the second one goes, because
damn, in your thoughts, if I have to get it, I'm gonna be on your phone, and
I know that's right.
and you gonna be right there when I be like, Rebecca.
Pretty much
I know that's right.
Support, bitch. The only thing that kept me from crying too much is that the firefighter who gave me or the EMS who gave me my shot, he was just so damn handsome that I was so busy staring at
that
him.
might help
that,
if I have
you know,
somebody.
it helped,
that might help
a little.
It
But I
might
think
help.
a lot of the side
I'm
effects
gonna
are
be like Dave.
psychosomatic. You think
I'm
you're
just
gonna
be
get
taking my
sick, so
MMR.
you just make yourself sick. So no.
The Department of Health gonna have to come knock on my door like, hey.
Okay.
I ain't mad at you, babe.
As I said, they're gonna
I'm
have to
not
freeze
mad
my
at
assets before I do. I just can't go. I feel like it's a scene out of the X-Men where they just try and take our superpowers away. I can't stand in no line for you to take my shit away. No,
I try
will
not
keep
to
what
say
I
that
have.
out loud, but that's what I believe, and I really do try not to say that out loud. But who's to say they didn't put a tracking device in that shit? There was a movie that Samuel L. Jackson did, and they had programmed all the phones to do some weird shit to kill everybody. I don't know what the name of the movie was. And then everybody else had a ring around their neck.
I told you last week that
the
movie Legend
movie.
was filmed about 2021, and the zombie shit that happened was a failed vaccine from some shit. It was set in 2021, and the zombies came because of a failed vaccine. Y'all let that sink in, okay?
I'm gonna be one of the people that's living underground. You know, while everybody else is living on the top, I'm gonna be one of the people living underground because they can find me, and I'm always be on the run.
Yeah. All right, good people.
Good.
About to slide up out of here. Stay tuned for Thursday's episode if you want to join. And
y'all
everybody
be rowdy on Thursday. I don't know what I walked up into on that Thursday. I walked up in there and I was like, whoa. I was like, I'm thinking it's gonna be nice and leisurely. I got my drink ready and all that stuff. And Herb
usually it is nice and leisurely.
Dropped the mic and the phone. I thought he had to go to work. I'm like, what is happening?
I was saying the same
y'all
thing.
was lit. Y'all was
It
lit
was-
on Thursday, yo. Y'all was lit.
Brolic T was hating on Gary. That's what it was.
Y'all was lit, man.
No, Gary's an asshole, and I stand by what I said. Burn that bridge. Fuck you. And that coming back shit, you should have thought about that before you made all them piss poor decisions. It's just that simple. She a goddamn fool. She take him back.
All right. Well, we'll see what the next character has to bring in the cocktail conversation segment on Thursday. But with that said, we out of here. Appreciate you all.
Goodbye.
See y'all.
Take care.